You know what that means? Torture. Rawr. As most of you know, Karen and I were at the Sinquefield Cup last 3 days. We arrived on Thursday, which was a rest day, and it was raining. Then Friday and Saturday they played, and it was great weather. Unfortunately, it was all draws. And then we left this morning. We landed about noon. And then they had a better round today. There were 2 decisive games, which gets up to 6 decisive games out of 48, which is better than 4 out of 42. So still 6 out of 40. It's not great. And of course, very few people have won any games. 3 people have 8 draws. Wesley, Shaq, and Magnus all have drawn every game they've played, which seems like quite a bit. Levon, who won the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, is in clear last in the tournament now, which is surprising. And so forth. Now, let's see. I didn't get notified that I'm on yet. Obviously, if you're watching this in a week or 2 on YouTube, I'm right here. Okay, I've been notified that I'm on, so now you guys will staying in droves, as they say in Blazing Saddles. So I'm pretty well versed on round 6 and 7 since I was there, and I saw analysis from both analysis teams, plus engines, plus the players. And then today, I was sleeping a lot during the round. I've been under the weather for the last few years. And then I still saw what happened. So, yeah, exactly. And so forth. Yay, people are here, if you can call them people. All right, we'll refresh the stream. It says I have 4 people here instead of 0. 6. That's slightly better. Yeah, probably don't have 6. Let's see, Chess has 3,000. What's Chess doing? Botez, Rosen, Anichess, String Dog, etc., mainly etc. Hello. Still says I have 6. I'm going to refresh again. It says I have 3. Man, Twitch works well. Hello. Okay, 45. That sounds like an actual number. So I probably don't have to refresh the stream anymore. Anyway, as the headline says, we're going to look at the Sinquefield Cup today. So the more you donate, the more decisive games there'll be, which I guess means you're not going to donate very much. Okay, so I'll try to get through the games from the 3 rounds in the stream today. It's a 4-hour stream. Should be plenty of time. Okay, let's look at Fabiano versus Maxime from 2 days ago on Friday. This is round 6. We'll do round 6, then round 7, then round 8. Round 8 was today. And so they played a Najdorf, which is to be expected because that's what MVL plays with black. Okay. And here, I mean, every move is theory. Every move. H3, F3, F4, Bishop E3, Bishop E2, Bishop C4, A3 and A4, and Bishop G5, and possibly Knight B3 is theory, although that's a dumb move, but it's probably been played anyway. It used to be Bishop G5 was the most common. Now probably the most common is Bishop E3 and F3 in some move order. Okay, so he played H3, which obviously prevents the knight from coming to G4, and prepares to play G4 himself. Now when black plays the Najdorf, black can play either E6 or E5. In fact, if white plays a very slow move, I guess like H3, or Bishop E2, or A4, black could just play a dragon with G6 and say that white's slow moves are, even slower than a6. And so, especially after a4, because then it's unlikely white's going to castle queenside and play some kind of Yugoslav attack. Okay, so he played e5, which is, the purpose of the Najdorf when Miguel Najdorf invented it was to play e5. And bishop e6. f4 is a very aggressive move. Now, normally you would say h3 is not aggressive, but actually it is because white wants to play g4. So, okay. Now, g6 is an unusual move. Obviously, if white could move again, white would play f5. So black's like, no, you're not going to play f5. And it makes some sense to play g6 because if the bishop is fianchettoed, normally you wouldn't want to play e5 because your bishop is hemmed in. But with the pawn on f4, if we ever take it, that releases the bishop. And the bishop's not super exciting on e7. So g6 makes some sense. And then he played the move g4, very exciting. Now, of course, this is all preparation by the players. They've analyzed these positions before, and they have with their coaches and their computers. So it seemed like Fabiano knew like one more move than MVL as far as the prep was concerned, but that didn't seem very important. Okay, MVL played the most aggressive way. Now, the reason you play knight bd7 in the Najdorf instead of knight c6 is sometimes you want to play knight c5, sometimes you want to play knight b6 to c4, and sometimes you want to sacrifice the exchange and take this pawn. You can't do any of those things with the knight on c6. So the knight on d7 is a little more flexible. In other variations, not this one, black plays b5, bishop b7, and once again, you wouldn't want the knight on c6, you want it on d7, so your bishop is good. So in the Najdorf, normally the knight goes to d7, and some would say if you played knight c6, it wouldn't even be a Najdorf anymore. Okay, so f5, and of course, we don't really have time to play bishop c4 because of g5, and white's just getting too much space, and the bishop's going to be no good. So we have to take, and if black does nothing, white is strategically winning because white has two bishops and more space. So black tries to punish white for moving all of his pawns by sacrificing the exchange and then taking on e4. And the immediate threat is checkmate in two moves with queen h4 and queen f2. Now again, it looks super exciting, and it is, but it's all preparation by the players, and it's been played before. But okay. White castled, which is the only good move. Queen h4 anyway. Obviously the queen's coming in. And once again, white played the only good move, bishop f3. Bishop wants to go to g2 and defend the king. gf5, black wants to open the g file to the white king. So g takes would be suicide after rook g8 check. Okay, this keeps the g file closed. Now black's threatening queen g3, so king h2. And we have a very unusual position with a strange pawn structure where black has a knight and two pawns for a rook, and both kings are exposed. And again, this is still in the player's preparation. MVL played rook to g8, and the very unusual looking rook a4. It turns out this isn't even the end of Fabiano's preparation. Obviously, we're threatening this pawn, so knight f6. Not only defending the pawn, but putting pressure on the g4 pawn because this is pinned. g5, and he sacrifices an exchange again. And this position was known to both players before the game because they analyzed it at home with their coaches and their computers. Although you don't really know when these positions are going to happen. MVL didn't have to play g6 on move 9. It's not clear to MVL that white's going to go into this line, but he could. So they have to know a lot of lines of the Najdorf and just prepare for anything. Now, in these kind of situations, the opening preparation advantage should be to white, because if MVL plays the Najdorf every game, MVL has to be ready for basically any line that white can play. And when white chooses a line, like H3, F4, Bishop E2, like this line, not only does MVL have to be ready for that, but for every other line white can play. Whereas, if Fabi plays white against the Najdorf, he can say, I'm going to play this line and only look at this line, not look at the other 10 lines that I could play. So they both have to remember what's going to happen, because obviously Fabi doesn't know for sure that black's going to play G6 or even play this line at all. And now Fabi instantly played C4, which has never been played before. And now MVL went into a very long think, probably over 30 minutes. Now the point of C4 was somewhat missed by the commentators who were doing the commentary. They believed, as did I, that black eventually wants to play D5, and that looks pretty good. So C4 prevents D5, for the short term. But actually, white has an aggressive idea. White wants to play rook B4 and rook takes B7. And with the pawn on C4, you can't play B5. So if it was white's turn to move, white would play rook B4, and black doesn't really have a good defense of his B pawn. So C4 has two ideas. One is to stop D5 and one is to stop B5. So now I can play rook B4. Okay. Now when they analyzed after the game and when Fabiano came to the live commentary, he said, if you just look at the position, it looks like black is just winning. Black has 3 extra pawns. He's attacking white's king. And if the attack doesn't work, black just pushes all of his pawns. And what are white's rooks doing? So he had to analyze the position more deeply. And he said he concluded it was equal. But he thought if he looked at C4 at home with his coaches and computers, and MVL wasn't familiar with C4, and the computer says it's equal, then you obviously have an advantage. If somehow you at home could get to move 20, and the computer says it's equal, and you've analyzed the position with grandmaster coaches and computers, and your opponent's never seen the position, that sounds pretty good. Okay, so MVL thought for about 30 minutes and played queen h4. Now this has a very obvious idea, which even I saw. Black wants to play bishop h6, bishop f4 check. And then black's doing very well. So, gotta stop that. And queen h4 isn't really an engine move, but it has this really obvious idea of attacking the white king. And the negative is white plays queen e1, which is the best move. That's what Fabi played. And we really have to trade queens here, because if black doesn't trade queens, he's going to move his queen to a square where this doesn't make any sense. You can't play queen h5 because your knight's hanging. So you're going to have to play queen g5 or queen h6. Well, your queen just came from g5. That doesn't make any sense. And queen h6 stops the bishop from going there. So he has to trade queens. Now the question is white going to win these weak pawns, or is black going to push all his center pawns and win? And the engine prefers white because white has 2 exchanges extra. Okay, he played bishop h6, which is very reasonable. Now, remember I said white wants to play rook b4, rook takes b7. Bishop h6 prevents that because of the fork on d2. Now, one thing that's a good lesson for you at home, when your opponent has one bishop, exactly one bishop, probably that's about half the time. maybe 25% of the time, your opponent has no bishops. 25% of the time, they have 2 bishops. And maybe half the time, they have 1. Then there's the 0.0000001% of the time where they have 3 bishops. Other than my stream where I'm playing blitz chess, and I'm kidding, I've never seen a slow game where one side had 3 bishops. You would have to have 2 bishops and promote to a bishop. Anyway, when your opponent has 1 bishop, you tend to prefer to put everything on the opposite color so the bishop can't do anything. And you'll notice all of these are on white squares, so the bishop can't attack them. And if you play rook b4, you're putting all your important pieces on dark squares, which is not good. So he played the excellent rook to d1, stopping bishop d2, and now rook b4 is a big threat, as is rook takes d6. How do we stop rook takes d6 and stop rook takes b7? King d7 defends this pawn, and we're going to come defend this pawn. Now again, if black gets 2 or 3 moves in a row, he's going to play f5, f4, and she'll be coming down the mountain when she comes. It'll be a Cavavalanche, but it'll be an MVL lanche. Plato 27881, subscribe, thank you. Okay, so white's got to do something. Played c5, makes perfect sense. We have 2 threats. d5 is forced. Rook b4. You can't play king c6 because rook check skewers all the pieces. So you have to play king c7. And then rook b6. And this is why Fabiano played c5. It gets the pawn away from d6 so we can skewer all the pieces. I am Rosen is rating with 141. I thought Eric just started his stream like 30 minutes ago. Thanks, Eric. I saw Eric for a second. I don't think he saw me. I saw him in the tournament for a second. Yay. It's a Gatorade. Hooray. Thanks for the raid. You're the best. Okay. So he plays bishop f4 check, getting his bishop off of this line. Remember I said white wants to put his pieces on white squares so the bishop can't attack. Then knight d7. And if I play knight takes rook, or knight takes c5, or f5, that's looking too good. So he sacrifices one of the exchanges back to get rid of all of black's pawns. Makes sense. Very, very reasonable play. And then rook d7. So if anybody's going to win, it's going to be white, because white's going to take all these pawns and have a passed h pawn. Black's pawn isn't really dangerous. The white king is there. This is 2 against 2. But it's a draw with correct play, but black is the one who has to play correctly. And MVL realized he had to try to get a passed a pawn because potentially he can play a5, b5, a4 and get a passed a pawn. So he played a5. And then can't lose this pawn because this pawn is going to cost him the bishop. h6 is defended permanently. And black does what I said he would do. Moves his pawns up. Okay. Now in this position, he played the move c3, and he's hoping next move to play rook here. Obviously, if he plays rook here now, we can play king b4. So if white gets to move again, he's going to win the a pawn, and he'll win the game, but it's black's turn. Okay. And with so few pieces and pawns on the board, it's very likely going to be a draw, of course. And black can't move his king because he'll lose his pawn. He can't move his pawn because he'll lose his pawn. So he just chills and moves his bishop. And now he decides he wants to play a3. Good idea. And they just trade everything, so there's nothing left. And in the end, white decided he had to make the draw, not black, because potentially black could play bishop a3 and block the rook and win the game. This is the wrong colored rook pawn. When you get to an ending where your opponent has a bishop and there's some rook pawns on the board, you should know if it's the wrong colored rook pawn, and it is. Yeah. Now, this may sound silly to you, or it might not sound silly to you. It's against the rules in the Sinquefield Cup to offer a draw. I'm not sure if it's the whole Grand Chess Tour or just the Sinquefield Cup. I'm not sure. No draw offer is allowed. The draw will happen when it's insufficient material to win, king versus king, or king and knight versus king, or there's a repetition. So if this was another tournament, they would agree to a draw here, but they're not allowed to. So they just play really fast. And here it was obvious to me that black would intentionally stalemate white, then the game ends quicker. And so he did. Okay. So that was a very good game where probably nobody made any mistakes after the preparation was over. I think for MVL, the preparation was over after the double exchange sack in this position. And I think Carlsen knew C4. Caruana knew C4 for sure. He played it instantly. I'm not sure if he knew Queen H4. I think after Queen H4, he thought a little while. When I look at the chess.com engine, Queen H4 is not one of the three moves it gives. So it's possible he didn't know Queen H4. It's possible. And I think both players played excellently this game, and it was a fair result. That's what I think. Anyway, thanks, Eric, for the raid. Yeah. All right. Well, I haven't made fun of Magnus since my last stream, so I guess I should now. Now, if I remember correctly, people say I'm a Magnus hater, and the reason they say that is I refuse to acknowledge he's the greatest player of all time. So if I said something like, Magnus is the second greatest player who ever lived, people in the chat and on YouTube would call me a Magnus hater. If I said you were the second greatest player who ever lived, you people watching, I'd be put in, Donald Trump would reopen mental institutions and put me in one. But if I call Magnus the second greatest player ever lived, then I'm a Magnus hater. Okay. Now, in my opinion, which is shared by no one, it's my opinion, Magnus is about fifth greatest of all time, fifth or sixth. And he's the best player in the world, not arguing with that. But for some reason, when somebody is the world champion, everybody thinks they're the greatest player who ever lived. All right. Now, in the Sinquefield Rapid and Blitz, Magnus tied for sixth, I think. That was 1,000 rounds of Blitz and Rapid, and he was never doing well ever. Then he's playing in the Sinquefield Cup, which I thought he would probably win. It's a slow tournament, and we've had 8 rounds, and he has 8 draws. If that's your definition of the greatest player who ever lived, then all right, that's not my definition. I'm guessing if Fischer in his prime or Kasparov in his prime were playing, they wouldn't draw the first 8 games, but I could be wrong. Okay. So obviously, the last 2 weeks have been very unkind to Magnus. He's not having his usual +2, +3 in slow, and maybe like +8 in the Rapid and Blitz. I think in the Rapid and Blitz, he got a minus score. Man, truth hurts. Okay. Also not doing well, which isn't surprising, is Nakamura. He never seems to win a slow game. It's weird. You'd think eventually he'd win a slow game. Now, the funniest thing, which I mentioned already in the stream, but I did it before you guys showed up, is Aronian, because Aronian won the Rapid and Blitz, and now he's in last place in the Sinquefield Cup. The form just changed? Like, what happened? Okay, so there's a 5-way tie for first, so anybody can win the tournament, except Aronian. And Anand, when we were there, had 2 winning positions and drew them both. And he also had a winning position the day before we got to St. Louis, and he drew that too. So Anand could easily be +3 or +4, and instead he's +1. It's unfortunate. And when he drew Ding, if he would have gone downstairs and been interviewed, he would have put those people in the hospital. He was not in the mood to be interviewed. He wasn't in the mood to be interviewed the day before, but that's probably the most upset he's been in his life when he 3 games in a row didn't win winning positions. And probably against Ding was the most winning. I mean, today he was better, but he's probably not too unhappy that he drew. He was black against Fabi, and he was like slightly better. It's also probably slightly worse before that. So, anyway, Anand is 49, turns 50 in December, and he's still tied for first the whole tournament, or clear first. So, pretty good. Please say rawr. Is this game over? This game was over 2 days ago. So it's pretty over. Pretty over. Yeah. Yeah. Everything that Nuck Strike said is wrong. It's surprising. Blah, blah, blah. It's more difficult to dominate in computer engines. That's also incorrect. Yeah. Everything you say is wrong in the chat, no matter what it is. If you spelled your name, you would spell it wrong. Yeah. Obviously, in Blitz and Rapid, the age of computers is irrelevant. And the fact that you can play so many games in a row and not win has nothing to do with computers. All right. Magnus is the best player in his chair. It's true. Yeah. All right. Exactly. Honky Blood knows what's going on. Or does he? Yeah, Don's pretty good. Yeah. Caspo and Bob. Wow. Okay. So that was a pretty good game. All right. Next. Next. Remember, if you never win a tournament and never win a game and get a minus score, then you're the greatest player who ever lived. Somehow. Good logic you guys have. That's why Trump's the president. All right. Here, PGN. Okay, next game is Nepo versus Ding Liren. And this was also round 6, obviously, because we're doing round 6. They played a very boring Italian stallion, kind of game. And what's funny about this is, I don't know this position, but this is all theory, and they blitzed it out. Nepo blitzes it out whether it's theory or not. He don't care. Okay, this is all been played before, somehow. Okay. And in this position, Ding Liren played a new move, and he said in the interview, D5 is also possible. Probably my opponent expected that. Now, on the chess.com engine, D5 is the best move. And I guess D5 has been played before? I don't know. But anyway, Ding Liren instantly played E4, and Nepomniachtchi went into a huge think. Okay? And this seems like a novelty. It's preparation by Ding, and Black gets a completely equal game. So White has to try something else, because I think, although I could be wrong, that D5 is also playable. I mean, if D5 is okay and E4 is okay, maybe White should play another opening. Okay, so, I mean, you have to take it. And then the idea is it's a clearance sacrifice. There was a pawn on E5, and now there's not a pawn on E5. So we play knight E5. And basically everything in White's position is under attack. Even C6 is a good move for Black, so you have to take. Now, the Rook has a discovered attack on the bishop, so if it was Black's move, he could consider bishop F2 check and take the bishop. Also, this pawn is weak, so we can sometimes double up on the bubble up. We can take one, then take the other. Okay, so he played bishop d3, which makes perfect sense because we're saving our bishop and we're defending our pawn. and white's up a pawn, and white has the two bishops. Okay, but again, it's all prep. d5. You can't take on d5 because your rook it's a pin. These pieces aren't developed, and black, is basically on everything here. It's really very aggressive. Okay, bishop f4 is the computer move. This is all preparation. And you'll notice we have a position with equal pawns where it's hard for me to tell who's better. I would guess white's better because this looks good here. But the engine says it's equal, and we're still in Dingleren's prep. f6 seems pretty annoying, so he played queen b6, putting a stop to that and also threatening b2. And, of course, Nepo ignores that because he's a very aggressive player. Okay, so we went from equal to very exciting, but still probably about equal. White wants to take on h6, so he played queen c6, defending the pawn, and he wants to trade queens and go into an ending a pawn up. Black's only issue is his king. If they trade queens, black has no problems at all. So white plays for mate. Black wants to trade everything. Then he won't get mated. So they trade. And again, the computer now says black's better because white doesn't really have an attack, but black has this huge majority over here. Queen g5 is a good move. And I think in this position, even though black is better, Ding was satisfied with the draw because he equalized out of the opening. He played his prep, and he wasn't really in a big fighting mood, which it seemed like Nepo is in. And if he was in a fighting mood, he could start moving his pawns. And if the engine had black, the engine would start moving his pawns. Okay, but I think Ding was in a more peaceful mood. And black's certainly better here by just playing b5. But he played rook e4. Then white made a big threat. He defended it. And again, black can, try to win, but he decided to just trade everything and not try to win. Yeah, and it's 3 against 3, and black's king is too open to try to win. And yeah, the king has no safety. And everything's all zeros, whether white gets perpetual or not. So that was a well-played game also, except black played the novelty that he had prepared, equalized very easily. White tried to mess the game up because that's the way he plays. And in fact, there's been 6 decisive games in the tournament, and Nepomniachtchi has 3 of them. He has 2 wins and a loss, and he's tied for first. So he was tied for last. Now he's tied for first. If you remember, in the first round of the tournament, Anand beat Nepomniachtchi when Nepo blundered a rook on the last move of the game in a drawn endgame. So obviously he's playing pretty interesting chess. All right, that was a game. Now we get to one of Anand's many winning positions he failed to win. This is the first round that Karen and I saw when we were there. This is his game with Giri. All right, let's read some of the terrible chat. I missed the terrible chat. Nothing even to read out loud. Would you say Magnus has the best memory of any chess player? No. Let's see. I don't know. The chat's all nonsense. I've never in all my year. Never in my whole life. All right, well. All right, the chat wasn't worth reading. Okay, so we got Anand white against Giri. Giri played the Sicilian. Not a good idea. In this position, Anand made a move I don't know at all. I know knight takes. I know knight b5. He played a3, which is also a move. Stopping bishop b4 forever. It's pretty slow. Then he retreated his knight back. This probably can't really give white anything, but Giri's not really a Sicilian player. So, okay. Now here I like what Anand did. And in fact, I like this for white. I've seen this before. In some Sicilians, when black plays b5, you just play b4. And then you're like, well, you can't do anything, and I'm going to win on the king side. I actually like that. a5 is a very, I don't want to say double-edged. Man, I wish I spoke English. It's a decision you can't take back. Whatever that word is. He's permanently weakening his b5 pawn. He's basically going to lose his b5 pawn. Super aggressive move that's probably uncalled for. I'm not a big fan of a5. Committal, yeah, that's the word. Yeah, it's too committal. Yeah. Okay, so rook b1 defends the pawn. And after the game, Giri half-jokingly, maybe, said, the Sicilian's okay, but then I played the French, so that's not okay. So I guess he was insinuating that the move d5 is bad. But I think the move a5 is bad. I think this is already bad for black. Okay, and then e5. And he played knight e8, which I don't even know if I would consider knight e8. I'm a big fan of that move. And Anand plays all engine moves, takes the pawn. The engine doesn't play bishop a6. Doesn't think that's a good move. That's what Giri did. And basically, white is just getting a free attack against black's king. Black has no compensation. So this is just very good for black. I'm sorry, very good for white. White's got this menacing center kingside attack. And black has nothing. So very bad position for black. Knight f5. Yeah. Now here Anand played very slowly, and I've noticed the last 5 years, Anand isn't as forceful as he used to be. He gets positions where if there is a win, it's a very precise sequence of moves that leads to a win, which when he was in his 20s and 30s would find. And now he sometimes plays slow when he's winning and gives away his advantage. He did that here at least twice in this game. The best move is knight to d4, this knight, and then your queen wants to go to g4 and so forth. Played c3, which isn't terrible, but it gives away some of his advantage. Okay, queen d3 is okay. Nothing wrong with that. Now here, Giri played, I think, quite a bad move. Rook a4. That's also strange square for the rook. Vichy should again play knight to d4. And he's very close to winning. He played bishop e3, which is okay. Rook e4 is asking for it. Very, very strange maneuver here from Giri. Bishop b6 is okay. When we were in St. Louis, one of the engines thought rook to b6 was bad. I'm sorry, rook to b7 was the right move. Or was it rook to b6? It was rook to b6. Yeah. And rook to b7. But he played here. This is okay, too. This should be winning. And white's just a pawn up. And I think white's better. So white's a pawn up and better. And did a pretty reasonable job consolidating. Up a pawn. The engine wanted him to play rook to b7, play queen b7. That's okay. Then white's up a pawn, has a passed center pawn. He should just win. Okay. g3 is not very precise, but it's okay. King g2 is okay. Never play f6. Rook e1's okay. And this position, probably knight takes is better than pawn takes. With really good winning chances for white. Very close to winning. They took with the pawn, which is okay. And, I mean, white's up a pawn. White has a pass pawn on the 6th rank. White has a rook on the 7th rank. It looks like it's almost impossible to defend this. I like rook e2 because it defends the 7th rank, so there's no tricks coming. Yeah. And rook d6 is a mistake. And white's almost winning immediately here. He should have played rook b8 check. If king to g7, rook e8. And this pawn's coming. So the engine says white's up +4. I mean, it's just completely lost. So he has to retreat the rook, which is not why he played rook to d6. And this is the engine line, and I got to think white's going to win. I mean, my knight's coming here, my rook's coming here. I have a fast pawns. These pawns are weak. And it says like +2.1 for white, so you would expect white would win. Vichy didn't play rook b8 check. He played h3, which is okay. And g4, because black wants to trade all the pawns off, then it's closer to a draw. Yeah. And here, it might already be a draw with correct play. And this was excellent. So if you remember in the line where I played rook here earlier, this is a good reason why black shouldn't play rook to f6, because his king can go to f6 to protect his bishop. Played rook to g5, which is better. Yeah, and again, white has good winning chances here, but he has to play, accurately. Now, according to this engine, white can win an exchange by force, which may or may not win. I think it's a table-based position. White can check and then play rook to f5 and get this position. And whether this is a win or a draw is already known. It's 6 pieces. I don't know if it's a win or a draw. I'm guessing it's a draw because the engine has been thinking at depth 45, and it gives white an advantage of less than a pawn. So I'm guessing if it was a win and it was at depth 45, it would give some real number. It's possible the player saw that, and instead of now made a nothing move, rook a7 does nothing. Yeah, and king e8's an excellent move, and now it's just a draw. Nothing on the board. Then on h4 is just trapped, so he can't win. Yay, he got his knight out. But at what cost? Now here, the players shook hands, which is against the rules. And I guess the arbiter didn't feel like insulting the players, I guess. If I was the arbiter, I also would say nothing. But as per Sinquefield rules, this game is not over. Either player can checkmate the other. They both have mating material in this position. So, should have been king takes, then draw agreed. I mean, this is agreed draw, not draw by insufficient winning chances. Both sides can mate the other side. So, yeah. Probably the game would have been drawn if they had kept playing. Yeah. Also, this was 2 games in a row where Anand was winning and did not win. He was winning even more against Wesley So the previous round before Karen and I got there in round 5. So Anand probably wasn't in the mood to take any guff from no arbiter. Know what I mean? You know what I mean. Yeah. Well, when I say it's against the rules, I mean, it's against the Sinquefield Cup rules, not against the rules of chess. The Sinquefield Cup, you are not allowed to offer a draw. That's a rule of the tournament. It can be a draw by repetition, and you claim a draw. Or it can be a draw because it's insufficient mating material. You can't legally win king against king. Here, they can both win. Both sides can checkmate the other side. So technically, white should have taken the bishop, and then the game would be a draw because nobody could win. Technically, yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Then Naka was white against Magnus. That was not an exciting game. You'd think it'd be exciting. These games were all played in round 6. So Magnus played Sicilian. Slightly surprising that Naka played e4. Another Rossalimo. And he played e5. And we saw this in the World Championship. And unfortunately, it got very boring very quick. And normally, especially in Fabi's games with Magnus, but other games also, when there's a bishop here and a knight here, white plays h3 as soon as possible to avoid what happened in this game, which is knight g4. And a tip for you at home, in almost any Sicilian, and this is a Sicilian, if white has a bishop on e3 and black can play knight g4, then black should probably play knight g4. This is no exception. So yeah, he takes, and both sides have a bad pawn structure, and white has this cemented knight on c4, but it's very, very difficult for anybody to do anything. And I remember when there was analysis in the Kingside Diner next to the chess club, Carilla and Alejandro Ramirez, they really couldn't find a plan for either side. Like, what does white do? What does black do? Basically, both sides do nothing, and the game's a draw. What's white's pawn break? d4? White doesn't want to play d4. That opens up black's bishops, and it undoubles these terrible pawns. What's black's plan? f5? F5 might weaken black's king more than white's. Anyway, he doubled rooks on the f file, so makes f5 less palatable. And then nobody did anything. So, yeah. Then they found a really neat way to repeat moves. Rook b5. And then after the rook moved away, he went back to b8. Because you're not allowed to agree to a draw, but you can claim a draw. And then same position 3 times if white plays rook b1. So, but I mean, I don't really see a plan for either side. I think f5 is really bad for black. I think d4 is really bad for white. So, yeah. So that opening gave white nothing, but I guess with Magnus not having the best tournament ever and having black, he's sort of happy to draw. And with Hikaru having such a bad score against Magnus, he's happy to draw. So, I guess most of the games of the tournament are draws, and here nobody has any good plan. So 2 knights against 2 bishops, but still it's 2 blocked up. Now an even more boring draw, unfortunately, was Mamedyarov and So. And Mamedyarov said he gave up on the tournament already, which doesn't make any sense. I think Mamedyarov's played too many tournaments in a row. He needs to take a break. So they played a Queen's Gambit accepted, which is not something that Wesley plays very often. E4 is the aggressive approach. And Alejandro was saying that bishop f5 is a new idea. And I know in the 80s and 90s, when this was popular, black always played knight b6. And the idea behind bishop f5 is pretty interesting. If white plays the most obvious move, queen b3, trying to refute this, then we play c6. And the idea is you can't take on b7, because of knight b6, threatening the bishop and bishop c8 winning the queen. And already black's probably winning. So you take, c takes, queen b7, queen c8, threatening queen takes bishop and queen takes queen, forcing queen takes. This is pretty funny. Black has no development, and black's down a pawn, but it's about equal. Because white has the two bishops, the d pawn is weak, black has the open files, and black has good compensation for a pawn here, which is weird. You'd think that black has no compensation. But, if white ever tries to castle, black's going to play bishop a6. So this king's going to be hanging around here for quite a long time. And we can put pressure on d4. We can put pressure on the open files. This bishop isn't very good. It's blocked by all the pawns. So it's actually about equal, which is weird. Anyway, that's the new idea behind bishop f5. Mamedyarov didn't test. He just played 92, letting him play bishop f5 for free. Bishop's not trapped in here. And they found a very, very funny way to repeat. So in this position, white played knight e2 to play knight f4, and black played bishop f5. And white doesn't have to play knight g3, but it's a way to repeat and get the game over with. So that was an unfortunate end to the game, and draw by repetition, or by reputation, I guess, in this case. So that was a very strange game. Obviously, when Wesley's black in this field, he's very happy with the draw. Some would say when Wesley's white, he's happy with the draw. Like Spencer would say that. And Wesley, along with Mamedyarov and Magnus, has all draws so far. 8 games, 8 draws each. So, all right, that didn't have to be a draw, but that's what happened. Okay, another boring game where white got nothing, but he tried a little bit, was Karjakin Aronian. And they played 100 moves of theory where you trade all the pieces off. So there's bishop f4, QGD. We've seen a lot of that this tournament, but we haven't seen any wins. A3 is pretty slow. So they trade everything. And now black wants to play bishop f6, so bishop e5. And you trade everything. And trade everything. Trade everything. Yeah. Now you can play queen takes b2 here, but after the queen trade, knight d3 check, this is better for white because this pawn's attacked, the knight's almost trapped, bishop is a monster. Yeah, this isn't good for black. It's cool though. Okay, knight e6. White wins a pawn for, but what cost? Black has good compensation, obviously. And this has all been played before. So this just gives white nothing. Okay. And in this position, I mean, black should play queen d6. g6 is okay. It's okay. Yeah, and now we can try to draw by giving up 2 rooks for a queen, but I wouldn't do that. So I think in this position, queen d6 is just forced. And it's probably just a draw. And then play g6. And the reason this is bad is something nobody would ever see. Engine sees it. Deja212 subscribed. Aronian played rook c3, and white is very close to winning here by playing something very, very, very strange. White should play rook e1. Obviously, the rook's better on e1 than f1. And if you play rook a3, which is sort of the obvious move, That's a bad move. Well, we can push our pawn, but in fact, the engine doesn't give this move, but the engine that they were using did. No, that's right. D6, rook D7, right. And now this looks okay for black. Black's going to play rook A6 and take the pawn. But white plays G4 first. And if you don't see G4, this line doesn't give white anything. And grandmasters aren't going to look at a move like G4 because it's absurd. And the idea is very simple. I want to play G5. And your queen doesn't have anywhere to go. And you're going to get in trouble. Your king's going to get mated. And actually, white's probably winning here. With my threats of G5, rook E8 check, and I think the engine already says +2. So this is pretty incredible that this is good for white. And actually, I think because of that, black has to play queen D6 here. So if this is ever played again, black's going to play queen D6. And if this happens again, and white knows what we know, white's going to play rook E1 and G4. After rook E1, black shouldn't play rook takes pawn because of G4. He should do something else. But still is very good for white. Yeah, so that's a missed opportunity from Karjakin. Instead, he played A4, and now black is already okay because his pieces are so super active. And the rest of the game wasn't very interesting. And draw. Yay, they repeated. Always repeat. Man, if they play queen takes, the game would never end. They had to repeat for the game to end. Terrible. Yeah. Now, obviously, if white plays some other move like F3, then we have to take, and the game would never end. Now, they would find some other repetition. Yeah. So, well, Sergey missed a chance there with rook Fe1 and G4, but G4, G5 idea is not an idea that's going to be found by a human. Until now. Okay, so that was round 6. One round down, 2 to go. Hooray for the Sinquefield Cup. Also hooray for etc. Mainly hooray for etc. Let's see, where did it go? That's where it goes. Okay, so now we'll get to 500 cent to do. Special cheer emotes. Trying to learn cheer shared rewards to 10 others in chat. What does that mean? Yay. Now, if you like those draws, I have some more for you. 6 more from this next round. Okay, the next round... Wait, it didn't go to the right one. What did I do wrong? Oh, I know what I did wrong. Everything. The next round is round 7. And we'll start with another game where Anand blew it. And he blew it more than once. She said. All right. Okay. Yeah, he was really mad after this game. And then some. Yeah, draw by reputation is always allowed. Obviously, Matt Larson would find it. 200 cent to dues, more cheering. Wait, rewards to 3 others. What are these rewards? All right. 390 viewers to do. Hooray for viewers. If you're just joining us, where were you the last hour? Karen and I on Thursday went to St. Louis. Very nice hotel room at the Chase. Tournament was great. Everything was great. Good commentary. Saw a lot of people we haven't seen in a long time, mainly, etc. And unfortunately, although Giri would say it's fine. All the games were draws when Karen and I were there. With 2 rounds, we saw round 6 and 7. They drew. As soon as we left St. Louis, then they started winning today. Now, this game, the opening was pretty equal. They played a Catalan, normal Catalan. Everything fine. Not super exciting. And Anand's like, if you're going to make all these maneuvers, I'm going to play e5. Okay, so black equalized. Yeah. And I'd probably take black here. Oh, close. Bishop h3 is not a good move. And in this position, Ding said he overlooked a very strong move here for black, which Vichy played. The only good move, actually. If black doesn't play this move, probably white's better, because white's pieces are all pretty good. Those are pretty good pieces, yeah. But unfortunately, knight b6 is super annoying. The reason it's annoying is black wants to play knight c4. And in fact, the engine says after bishop takes c8, knight c4 is very strong. And that's something you could easily miss, and I'm guessing that's what Ding missed. He probably saw knight b6 was legal, but he just didn't care because, you know, this pawn is hanging and you trade bishops and it's all good. So also, turns out queen takes is also very strong, even better. So this was just a big tactical blunder by Ding, and after knight b6, it seems like black is winning. Black's threatening bishop takes knight because the knight's defending the bishop. So white played the obvious move, bishop takes a5, but that just loses. Bishop h3, and no matter what you do, you're losing. This position's, if two engines were playing, black just always wins. Game's over now, +4 for black. And the reason is we have tactics that win based on winning a piece and checkmate. So let's look at the three possible moves. The move that Ding played is actually considered the worst by the engines, but they all lose. And I think what Ding missed when he played bishop takes a5 and when he played all this bishop h3, I think he missed after bishop takes knight, black's next move. Very easy to miss. McJurgle donated $9.99. Last week came in second in my section, my first ever rated tournament. Congratulations. The bad news is there was only 2 players, but that's good. It's emo only chat, confusing the audience. I know I'm confused. Okay, so emo only chat, not a good idea when I said black only has one move that wins. Now nobody can type the move in because, exactly. It's good because you don't know it anyway. So I'm thinking when he played bishop h3 and bishop a5, he thought this would be fine. And you want to take this knight on b6, the knight doesn't go to c4. And if you play queen takes or rook takes, white's probably okay. But black has this amazing move, queen c8. And that defends the bishop attacks the rook, and the rook attacks the rook. And if you trade rooks, I take with a pawn, threatening this and this. The problem is, you can never trade here, because I'm going to play knight g4 and checkmate you. So and your knight's hanging. So you're just lost. So after bishop h3, white is just completely lost. And when the game ended in a draw, many moves later, Anand was really unhappy. I thought he was going to kill everybody, and Karen thought he was going to cry. Because this is the third game in a row where Anand was winning and did not win. Truth hurts. Didn't lose. And after knight h3, the same move wins, queen c8. It's just a standard double attack. Threatening this, threatening this. So knight b6 was a fantastic move from Vichy, totally underestimated by Ding. Yeah. Go, Karen. Now, you may know, you might, that Ding is over 2,800 FIDE. So, even when you're dead lost, you didn't get to 2,800 FIDE by winning a lottery. You got to 2,800 FIDE by never losing. If every legal move your opponent has is mate in one, you still don't lose. That's how you get to 2,800 FIDE. And as you all know, a couple of years ago, Ding had a record. He played over 100 FIDE rated games without losing in a row. So even though this is dead lost, Ding fights on. And he defends his knight and just loses his rook on c1. Also, it's possible rook takes c1 is not the best move. It's possible knight c4 is better. And the idea is, I want to take the bishop for free. If the bishop goes this way, which loses the bishop, knight d2 is good, or taking the bishop. And if you go here, blocking your queen, knight g4, threatening knight e3 check is plus 1,000. If you put this on engine, my engine says plus 7 for black. This is just too strong. Too strong. Knight c4 is what an engine would do, but okay, obviously this is just winning. Black's up in exchange, and black's better. Okay, e3 is good. Never play f3. And h5 is fine. I have no complaint. I mean, black's just coming to get him. He's attacking. Bishop a5, stopping queen e1. And taking on h4, I think, is the best move. And here, Anand played a really bad move. Very bad move, which gave away almost all of his advantage. There's actually an immediate win here, which requires some calculation. And that move is knight e4. And the idea is, I want to play knight d2, attacking the queen, and queen f1 mate. So you got to take that knight, because if I play knight here and queen here, that ain't no good. You take the knight, I take with a rook, and now I'm mating you. I mean, your king is ridiculous. And the main line, for those of you who are confused, is queen takes, check, and then the skewer. Winning the queen. And here the engine says like black's plus 6, because white's king is just getting checkmated. So if Anand played knight e4, he would have won. I guarantee he would have won that position. 666 centidues. The devil made him do it. Thanks, Outcast. Instead of Anand played queen c6, this is a bad move. And now Ding found a really nice defense. There's no pawn on g3, which leaves white's king quite vulnerable. So he played bishop e1 to g3. That's pretty nice. And actually, queen c1 is the best move now. Back to the regular winning plan. But he didn't do that. And I remember, because Karen and I were at the Sinquefield Cup, Vichy thought forever here. I mean, forever. Maybe half an hour. Because he realized he was completely winning, and now he's better. And he played queen c4, and probably it's a draw now. Probably. And this idea that Ding had with knight a3, taking this pawn, and giving up all his other pawns, the commentators didn't like that. So they just traded all the pawns off, but this pawn's going to be lost, and this pawn's going to be strong. Now, this was amazing, this position. In this position, Maurice was analyzing with an engine, because that's what he does. And he said, here's the engine line. And everybody was like, what? What kind of line is that? And then that's what Ding did. Again, Ding's 2,800 FIDE. And he's not 2,800 FIDE because he loses all of his games. So something that I would never think of, which is the computer line, that's what Ding does. So that's why he's 2,800. Knight f5, and now it looks like white just loses. You lose this pawn and knight queen, and he played h5. He got counterplay on the king side in h6. This is what the engine does. And this is all the engine line. We get rid of all of black's pawns. And then we run over and we defend. Defense. Okay. Now in this position, probably Anand is still winning. Probably. The reason he's still winning, in my opinion, is I agree with the commentators, knight a3, knight c4, and then all these pawn trades, and giving him the passed pawn. That probably was bad. Giving black a passed b pawn was bad. And so Anand is winning again, and white's putting up great defense. And here Vichy should play b3. And instead of b3, he played knight a4, which seems to throw away the win because of knight d5. This like kills the knight. We can't play knight c3. This pawn's attacked. And after f5, knight d2, we're trapping the rook. So b3 is the best move. And this looks like it's just a draw. Okay. Now in this position, which I haven't gotten to yet. Okay. In this position, e5 is probably the best move. You can't take on e5 because I check and take. But he played g5. And this seems like it's a mistake. And here, Vichy made his last error, I guess. And this is too hard for a human. He played king e7 instead of king f7 to stop the pawn. There's actually an important difference. After king f7, king e7 is allowing knight d5 check in a critical line, whereas king f7, there are no knight checks. So king f7 is actually a better winning attempt. This engine says it's still a draw, although that may not be correct. Might still be winning. Probably a draw still. But this move doesn't give any winning chances because now I can put my knight on d4 and trap your rook even more. Obviously, if I play king f7, you can't play knight c6 because I check and take it. Now, the knight on b4 looks good, but it's better on d4. Now I stop rook c2, and I'm attacking your pawn. So you're losing your pawn. So king e7 may not have affected the result of the game, but it made it very easy for white. So king e7 is a pretty bad move, because after king e7, I go check here and take your pawn. I mean, you can't lose your b pawn if you want to win. So that's pretty bad. Yeah. That's unfortunate. Okay, so yeah, instead he did this, and now it's just a draw. And they found the quickest way to draw. Yeah, now it could be a draw because insufficient mating material. So Anand was winning that game. He was winning the game against Giri, and the round before we got there against Wesley So he was winning, and he drew all 3 games. Now, when Anand was between 18 and 30, and possibly later, but definitely between 18 and 30, it was well known his endgame technique was very suspicious. He was not known as a good endgame player, and he was known as a great openings theoretician, a great tactician, a great calculator, a speedy player, one who put a lot of pressure on you. But if he had a technically winning endgame, you would be happy you're playing him and not Karpov. His endgame technique was iffy. And 3 games in a row with winning endgames, he drew all 3. So, now, a lot of people believe, and I'm one of them, the older you get, and he's obviously the oldest player in the field, and then some. He's probably older than the 2 youngest players combined. I can't prove that, but it's probably true. Probably the 2 youngest players in the Sinquefield Cup are younger than Anand, if you add them up. Probably. Or maybe not. Maybe. Anyway, I mean, and then, obviously during this game, he knew he was winning, and he knew the previous 2 games he was winning, he didn't win, and that probably was in his head. Because you guys probably don't understand fully, when you're playing chess, you at home, you're probably not super confident in your abilities that when you're put to the test that you will perform. And you figure, well, when it's Kasparov and Karpov and Fischer and Anand and Kramnik, they're more confident than you. On the whole, they are, but a lot of it depends on what's been happening lately. So Carlsen's a good example. When Carlsen's doing well, and he's the highest rated player in the world, and he's the world champion, and he's won a couple of games, he's super confident, and his opponents are super scared. But what have you done for me lately? So now Carlsen's lost all his confidence because he can never beat anybody. He's coming in 6 all the time. And his opponents are like, wait a minute, this isn't the Carlsen I'm afraid of. This is a different Carlsen. This is a Carlsen who loses a lot and draws a lot. I'm not afraid of him. So when the tables are turned, it's hard to remember that over the last 5 years you've been the best player in the world, because over the last 5 weeks you haven't done nothing. You're coming in 6th and 7th. So people aren't as afraid of you anymore. And obviously, when the best players in the world get older, I mean, people aren't afraid of Anand anymore, but they were. I mean, when he was in his 20s and 30s, they didn't want to play Anand. Now, Anand's 49, so, play Anand, probably win. And since Anand never loses in the Sinquefield Cup, he feels really powerful here, and his opponents know that he never loses the Sinquefield Cup. They're like, man, this is Anand's tournament. And Anand has played amazing number of games in a row in Sinquefield Cups and not lost. He actually lost rounds 1 and 2 like 3 or 4 years ago, and he hasn't lost since. So he's played like 3 consecutive Sinquefield Cups and hasn't lost a game, or 4. So this is his tournament. Like St. Louis, likes the U.S., luck, I don't know what it is. Anand loses, but not in the Sinquefield Cup. And unfortunately for him, every game he has big advantage or winning and draws, and that wears on you because you're throwing points away. The tournament could be over now. He could have beat Caruana today. He wasn't winning, but he was much better. So, all right, the truth hurts. Then we got Anish versus Fabi. I thought this was quite a boring game, but that's the way Anish likes it. That's the way, Anish likes it. All right. Anish is white, and they traded everything immediately. Another bishop f4 QGD. So in this tournament, they've been playing c5, b6, and knight b7, and all the games are drawn. I don't think bishop d3 makes any sense. I think you either have to take on d5 or play rook c1. Bishop d3, now you take on c4, and white's lost the tempo. Yeah, I don't think this is a way to play for an advantage. Yeah. Not very exciting. Alejandro and Christian were trying to make this seem exciting. Alejandro was like, G4, I don't understand that move. I don't like that move. I don't know. The game's just sort of boring. So they just trade everything every move. So Anish wants to repeat and draw the game. Fabi plays for the win. White's pawns are sort of weak here. But okay, there's nothing on the board. So that wasn't a very interesting game. Anish started by trading. And the reason that happened was he played a very innocuous bishop d3 in this position. I mean, the queen's gambit, you want to take this and trade pieces and open the diagonal and play c5, and bishop d3 just loses a tempo. So you could play rook c1 or a3 or move your queen or take on d5. Bishop d3, we just trade all the pieces off. I mean, this isn't the way to try to win. Now, you can beat somebody weaker than you and win with no risk. Like, let's say Anish is playing me, and I'm black. I have a 0% chance of winning, and I would lose a lot because he would outplay me. So he's not risking anything. He's like, oh, I'll beat Ben half the time or more, and I'll draw a little bit, and I'll score 80% or whatever. And I'll never, ever, ever lose. Play 1,000 games, never loses. But not against Fabiano. No, that's not how you win. This is why a lot of the games are draws. Some of the players play for the slightest of advantages, hoping to win 10 games and draw 90 out of 100, but never lose. And, I mean, not going to beat Fabi in this position. So, okay, now this was an excellent game that had a novelty with Magnus and Nepo. Excellent game coming up. Very interesting game. Probably the most interesting game of the round. So they played a Grunfeld, because Nepo plays the Grunfeld. And Magnus plays everything. Magnus has played 10 different lines against the Grunfeld. And he plays the slightly unusual Queen A4 check. Okay. What he prepared for this game. And obviously, with the knight on d7, we're not getting our usual Grunfeld attack on c5. On d4 with c5, knight c6. D-Rush98 subscribed. Thanks for the subscription. So, the Grunfeld, we give white the center, then we attack it, and if our pawn's on c5, our knight's on c6, and our queen's on d8, we got a lot of pressure on d4. So queen a4 is like, yeah, put your knight here and get rid of all the pressure. So instead of playing the usual knight c6, he plays knight b6. And in fact, there was a game played in a rapid tournament, which black also won, where Nepo played a6 against Razintsev, I think. So knight b6. And we're still putting pressure on d4. We're doing it. Okay, and in this position, in previous games, white played g takes f3. And Magnus played bishop takes f3. And obviously the point of playing bishop takes f3 is to take this pawn. And this was Carlsen's prep. He prepared the move e5. And he played e5 very quickly because this is his preparation. So bishop takes f3 novelty, e5, stopping black from playing e5, cementing his bishop, and putting pressure here. Maybe e6, bishop h6, bishop g5. This is pinned. And black's up a pawn. Okay, and here Nepo thought for 20 minutes, because this is probably the first position he didn't know. The engine says black has two moves that are reasonable. He can take the rook and get the two rooks for the queen, but have all of his pawns hanging. Or he can play knight c4, which is what he chose. Queen b4. b5 is possible. It's very, very complicated. Played rook c8, which is just normal. Now this pawn is hanging. And what I wonder is, when Magnus prepared e5 with his people, did he look at knight c4, queen b4, rook c8, and he was still in his prep? Did he look at it and he forgot? Or did he stop looking already because there's so many possible moves? I don't know if Magnus is still in his prep. He played bishop h6, which is reasonable. And if you play rook e8 now, e6 is annoying because this king is going to get a little tickle. So he decided to get his two rooks for the queen now, because that way he can save his rook and recapture. It makes sense. And black actually is close to winning here if white doesn't play the next move. Black's next move is knight takes e5. Then black's probably winning. Black has two rooks and one or two pawns for a queen, and white has nothing. That knight on e5 is a monster. So you play e6. And you try to mess up black's king position permanently. And he played knight e5, which is good. Took with the knight. There's no mates on the back rank, which some of you are probably thinking, because the bishops defend. Bishop e3. And this is better for white because all of black's pawns are potentially going to get captured. I have the two bishops. My king is really safe. And your king is always, a little iffy. It should be a draw, but I think a lot of grandmasters would take white here. The engine likes rook c7, which looks really strange. He played bishop d4. Obviously, you can't take it because you get mated. And that gets rid of the two bishops. So Magnus went yum, yum, yum. Take some pawns. I take you. Take all the pawns. And unfortunately, for Magnus, there's nothing left. Trade, 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 trade. Yeah. And they agreed to a draw. Well, they didn't agree to a draw. They repeated. But this is obviously a draw now. No passed pawns. Well, e-pawn's passed, if you can call it passed. And then after the game, Magnus just said Nepo defended great. Like a perfect defense. He's like, what are you going to do? So, yeah, I agree. I think Nepo defended that pretty well. Because, his king is under some pressure. White has the two bishops. His pawns are weak. And he just found a way to trade off the bishops, got rid of both of them, and then white has nothing, and black's king is perfectly safe. So, very good game by our co-leader now, Nepomniachtchi. Okay, the next game I didn't understand. I didn't use an engine at all, but I thought MVL just had a fantastic position against Mamedyarov. Then all of a sudden it was just completely equal. So they played their boring Italian, the usual boring nonsense. Right. And Mamedyarov did something that was nonsensical. He played knight e7, which means you want to play knight g6. And then in this position, he played knight c6. So he played knight e7 to c6. Okay, and now he loses his bishop. Often in this line, black plays a6 or a5 very early to avoid losing this bishop. Bishop goes to a7. And around here, a little later, I decided to go into the commentary room with Alejandro and Carilla, and Christian was out interviewing somebody and busy, So Alejandro was by himself, and when I walked in, he's like, why don't you join me? So I did commentary for about 20, 25 minutes with Alejandro, and this was the game we looked at probably the most. And we were like, this is great for White. White's going to play c4. White has the two bishops. White has all the dark squares, and this is just bad for Black. We both agreed that this was excellent winning chances. We didn't like what Mamedyarov was doing. And about 40 minutes later, I looked at the position again, and it was just equal. So now the engine wants to play bishop f4, not c4. But okay, c4 is obviously, quite reasonable. This just looks terrible for Black. Looks almost strategically lost. Two bishops, more space, no counterplay. Okay, I don't know. He seemed to equalize very easily, which is weird. And this endgame to me looks terrible for Black. Now g4 looks good. This just looks terrible for Black. The engine agrees. The engine just says like plus 1.2 for White. This bishop's just like dead. Okay, now the next move that MVL played, the engine does not like. The engine wants to play rook h1 and go to the h file. And probably eventually play a4 so the other rook can go over here also without allowing rook takes a2. So rook h1, a4, double up on the bubble up, and, and play like that. But he traded on g5, which the engine doesn't like, but still says White's doing well. King g3 just seems like it loses a tempo. I don't like that move. Yeah, and I mean, here White has nothing. It's totally equal here. Yeah, and Black just sits. That's amazing. I mean, Mamedyarov just did nothing and he drew. He just sat there. And yeah, the engine just says this is a draw because there's nothing anybody can do. So they made up repetition. Yeah. So it looked like Black was doing quite badly, and then he let Black play knight e5, f6, bishop g6, king g7, and Black just fine. So I'm sure that White could have tried to get something by doubling rooks on the h file earlier and not playing king g3. Seems like he just lost two tempi doing that. Not playing hg5 right away. And somehow, by doing nothing and playing passively and trading pieces, Mamedyarov drew. So, very strange game. Now, So Karjakin also confused me because I thought So was getting an advantage and then he didn't have an advantage. But I could have been wrong about that. I've been wrong before. They played very, very boring opening where they trade everything. Just gives White nothing, this opening. Always trade everything. So yeah, during the game, when Jennifer, Yasser, and Maurice were doing analysis, they only looked at queen takes d4, and they thought Black was fine. Because we're getting bishop f6 in with tempo, and the knight has a good square, and the rooks are coming. And he played e takes immediately, so I think he's still in his preparation. Didn't even think about it. And then he played d5, trading off his isolated pawn. And this just looks like White has a slight advantage, but the engine just says it's equal. He's got two bishops. Obviously, they trade all the pieces off, so it's not too exciting. But two bishops is two bishops. I don't know. I thought White had a nice advantage here. I got two bishops for nothing. So this is interesting. The engine also says White's better here, and Black played super aggressive rook to d1, which is an excellent move. Giving this pawn away. If you take it, then knight d4, and White is all tied up. That's interesting. So rook d1 was an excellent move, pinning this, threatening bishop takes b4. Now this is hanging, and he just played the drawing move. If you play bishop c3, that's actually a mistake as the bishop takes b4. And you can't do this because your rook is hanging. So this is really nice tactical sequence by Karjakin. And, well, his pawn's hanging. So, yeah, this is just really nice. If the white king was on f1, bishop c3 just wins for white. That's why he played rook d1 first. If he plays rook d4 here, bishop c3 wins. But it doesn't win here because knight takes is forking the rook and the king. So now you just played this totally dead drawing line. And they did their fake repetition and, okay, draw. So yeah, it looked like white was a little bit better, but Karjakin played super precise rook d1, rook d4, and drew immediately. I mean, when you trade all the pieces off, hoping for a slight advantage that you'll win occasionally, the 27, 2800 players aren't losing those positions. They're too easy. That's how, like, So could beat me every game. He could get a position he could never lose. That should be a draw, and then I would lose eventually. And that's how I beat weaker players. I get positions like this. The computer says I'm up 0.1, but I can't ever lose. And then they blunder and I win. And so it's like no risk. Now, the better you get at chess, the less risk you take, the more draws you have. And the more risk you take, you might have a bad result. So it's very hard to play at the top level. You have to take the appropriate amount of risk to win the game, but you have to calculate perfectly so there really isn't any risk because you see everything. It's not easy. Too many draws. Chess is too hard. All right, and then we have another game I didn't understand. It's the last game we'll look at of the round yesterday. And that's Aronian Nakamura. I thought Aronian just had a big advantage, and then he had nothing. So it's very similar to that game. He played the Najdorf, and we don't see Aronian playing white in a Najdorf. Aronian isn't playing e4 all the time, and so he's not facing the Najdorf very often. And after bishop e2, which is very safe, very solid, very Karpov-like, Naka decided to play dragon because bishop e2 is sort of a passive move, and the reason the super GMs don't always play the dragon is they're afraid of the Yugoslav attack, which isn't going to happen now. So always play bishop f1, okay. And now I thought Naka went a little crazy. In this position, he played h6, g5, which is, I mean, pushing all your pawns on the side of the board. It creates a lot of weaknesses. But the engine says it's fine. Never play f3. And here, I thought d5 was a mistake, as did Alejandro, and that white was getting a big advantage, and black should play more slowly. Probably with something like knight d7, unleashing the bishop and defending the c5 square. But he played d5 right away, which gives away c5. And Alejandro and I both thought white would play knight c5 here. And we liked white. And in fact, at a low depth, Stockfish does play knight c5 and says that white's better. Maybe if I leave the engine running for an hour, it's going to say knight c5 is nothing. So Alejandro and I, we were doing commentary now. As I said, Christian left. And we thought after knight c5, white was doing great. The engine line looks pretty good for white. Knight c5 takes, knight takes, pawn takes. That looks great for white. Okay, so he played takes, which is okay. It's not the most incisive. And here, we also thought white would play knight c5. Although the engine plays queen c1, which I also like. It avoids queen trade, and it defends the b pawn. Yeah, I like that. And instead, he played c3, which is too slow. And Naka played b4, very aggressive, and they traded everything. and then some. Time to trade. And in this position, Alejandro and Christian were analyzing now, and I was back in the audience. And everything that they looked at gave white an advantage. Like black was going to suffer. Then like 30 minutes later, black was not suffering. Black had no trouble at all. These guys who were 27, 2800, they're really good at making the game a draw when they're slightly worse and there's one way to get to the draw. They're real good at that. And we just thought, we'll get some ending and white's going to push his pawn. And black's going to suffer. Material's going to be equal, but black's 4-3 on the king side is irrelevant. He played knight b4, which is the best move. Yeah, and we thought a4. This is what we thought. Yeah, we thought this is going to be annoying. Okay, he played here. a5, yeah. And Naka just played bishop c8 and said, you're never going to play a6, so I don't care about whatever is annoying. And the engine says white's better, which is what we thought, but it just makes random legal moves for white that do nothing. Huh. I guess if white can't play a6 ever, and white can't move his rook off of his a-pawn, because black will take it. Yeah, the engine just plays on the king side now, like h3, like what he did. Yeah, that pawn's just not dangerous. Yeah, this is just a dead draw. And then they did the repetition so they can draw. Yeah, I mean, position we thought white had a nice slight advantage. He just had nothing. So that was all the games from round 6 and 7. They were all draws. And that's when Karen and I were in St. Louis. We had some good restaurants, though. We played some blitz chess, played for fun with other people. We talked to a lot of people we haven't seen in a long time. So we had a good time. And if you didn't watch the broadcast or you didn't hear about it, after this round, after Giri's game, which he drew with Fabi, which was the next to last game to finish, Anish is like, what's the problem with draws? The games are interesting. The final result doesn't matter. And he had a long discussion with Maurice about that. Like, let's say you have a really, really interesting game, and then, well, I'll give you an example. Let's say it's the game from round 1 between Anand and Mamedyarov, where at the very, very end of the game, I'm sorry, not Mamedyarov, Nepomniachtchi. At the very end of the game, Nepo played king c4, double question mark, b5 check, and he resigned. He blundered b5 check. So according to Giri, if he didn't blunder king c4 and played any other move that draws, and the game ended in a draw, that's a better played game than the king c4 double question mark. It's the same game before that. So you got the same game, then you have a blunder resign, or you have not a blunder, a draw. He's like, why is the decisive result better? I mean, he's right. The moves of the game are the same, and then the guy doesn't blunder and lose. He makes a good move and draws. So are we rooting for blunders? So obviously, if the game is between 10 and 20 moves, and there's no content to the game and they draw, that's ridiculous. He agrees with that. But if the game's 40, 50, 60, 70 moves, and the game's interesting, and we're on the edge of our seat, and it ends in a draw, what's wrong with that? And Maurice was arguing, we want to see decisive results more than 70 move draws, because we don't want to have 90% draws. And Giri's like, why? What's the problem? Now, technically, Giri's right, because chess is a draw. And there's a lot of discussion by you, the gawking rabble. I see this a lot. If chess is played perfectly, is white winning or it's a draw? It's definitely a draw. No grandmaster would tell you otherwise. So obviously, the better the players are, the more draws there are, and you can see this in any game that's a draw. For example, tic-tac-toe, the better the players are, the more draws there are, because tic-tac-toe is a draw. So if you have two kids aged 4 and 5, there'll be some tic-tac-toe games that are decisive. But once your IQ is over 100 and you've passed age 10, then, tic-tac-toe is going to be a draw. And checkers is the same. The better you are at checkers, the more draws there are. If I was playing checkers with somebody my skill level, and I have no skill level, I know I can legally play, there would be almost no draws. But if it's the best players in the world, they might play 80 draws in a row. And chess is like that too. So if you don't like draws, if you don't like draws, just watch games where the players aren't very good and you won't see any draws. And the better the players are, the more draws there are. And Giri's like, what's wrong with that? Favre, subscribe, thank you. Now he's right. If both players try to win and the game goes 5 hours and 6 hours and the game is 60 moves, it ends in a draw, I agree with him, that's fine. But games like when Mamedyarov plays Karjakin and they're not even trying, and when Mamedyarov played So and they drew in 13 moves, that's no good. Now, a more interesting question, and this is the first question I'll ask the gawking rabble. You guys can vote in the chat now. The serious question. Would you rather see a 60-move draw that's interesting but ends in a draw, or a 14-move game where the guy blunders on move 13, on move 14, the GM makes the winning move, the GM's like, oh my God, and resigns. So one game is decisive and one game is not, but do you want to see a guy losing 14 moves because he blundered on move 13? Does that make you feel better? I mean, if a 14-move draw is bad, which it is a 14-move decisive game also bad? Is a 60-move decisive game better than a 60-move draw? You see what I'm saying? Well, 14-move draw wasn't one of the options. Yeah, if you'd rather see, well, some of you said obviously the 60-move interesting draw, and then other people don't agree with you. They're like, no, I want to see the win. Yeah. I don't think draws are the problem in chess. I think draws where the players aren't trying is the problem in chess. And that problem is going away. And it used to be a bigger problem than it is now. There used to be a lot of fake draws in chess where the players weren't trying. They agreed to a draw before the game. They played a perfunctory number of moves and the game ended. I had 2 draws in my last 2 tournaments out of 16 games. One of the games ended at king versus king on move 93. And the other game was a king and pawn endgame where nobody could legally win on move like 43. My opponent offered me a draw every move and trade all the pieces off and got to a worse king and pawning that was not possible to win. And my other games were decisive. Probably the draws, the level of play was just as high as the decisive games, if not higher. But again, I don't like draws either. I've had a lot of draws in my life. I want to lose and win. Rawr. When you lose and win, you sort of know how good you are. If I play 9 games against 2,300 players and I win 4, lose 4, and draw 1, I start to think I'm 2,300. But if I win 2 and draw 7, my usual, I'm like, well, I'm better than them. I just win and draw and I never lose. Yeah, but, I mean, I'm drawing every game, so that's not even trying. So I'd rather get +2 or +3 with no draws. I'd rather have 6 wins and 3 losses than 3 wins and 6 draws. Like, I would now. Like, 20 years ago, probably not. But, yeah, there's something about draws people don't like, but that's the nature of our game. And if you're a soccer fan or a tic-tac-toe fan or a checkers fan or a chess fan, there's a lot of draws. Sorry. You're playing the game well. And that's actually very reasonable to me that you have a game and the players both play at the same level for hours, a draw seems fair. Now, this will be a very unpopular opinion, very unpopular. I might be the only person in the world that thinks this. I think it would have been very nice if at the Wimbledon final that they just agreed they were co-champions. Because, I mean, they played like the same level forever. Forever and ever and ever. And it's unfortunate that Federer had to lose when he had 2 match points and he's 1,000 years old and he's playing as good as Djokovic. But obviously the people at home want to see somebody win. They don't care about that. It seems like when they're so equally matched, it's unfair that... All right, now I'll give you an example. Yeah. Imagine there's a guy who murders somebody, and there's another guy who murders somebody. And the reasons for the murders were the same, financial. If they get away with the murder, they're millionaires. If they don't get away with the murder, they have no money, and they go to jail for the rest of their life, or they get the death penalty. Okay. And let's say they both did it. Okay. And they both go to trial, and one guy's found guilty by the jury, and so he has no money, and he goes to jail for the rest of his life. And the other guy's found not guilty. They're both guilty, but one guy's found not guilty. So now he doesn't go to jail ever and has all the money in the world. The other guy's in jail and has no money. And they're the same. But one guy was found guilty, one guy was found not guilty. So that's what it seems to me. That's the analogy I make when there's a competition and everything's the exact same, and then in the end somebody wins because, something 1 inch. So now one guy's the champion and he's the happiest guy on earth. The other guy's like, I lost, and he's sad, when they're basically the same. So to me, that's a bit unfair that one guy gets everything, the other gets nothing, when they're basically the same. So to me, those instances of the trials, it seems like the difference between guilty and not guilty, I mean, it's weird that one is a million times better than another and there's luck involved. So it's just weird. You could just argue life isn't fair. I could have been born homeless in India, and like a lot of people are. And I wasn't. I was born in America, and my parents were middle class. And my dad was a chess player, and he taught us chess. We played chess, and I'm a chess streamer. That's luck. That's what happened. But to me, it seems like life is unfair like that when you're in a situation where it's 50-50 what's going to happen, and one is the greatest thing ever and one's the worst thing ever. That seems sort of like unfair. Yeah. And also, Woody Allen made a movie like that. What was it? Was it Wimbledon? What was the name of the Woody Allen movie with the tennis guy who killed his ex-wife? What was that called? Was it Wimbledon? What was it called? It was Match Point. Yeah. Yeah, I like Match Point because he's like, it's all luck. The thing falls on one side or the other. Yeah. Horrible hotel in India. Yeah, but I get to go home. Some people live in India, like Anand. Man. The VJ Park was the hotel. Yeah. See, here's the thing. The hotel in India I stayed at, according to the people in the know, the name of their hotel is similar to another hotel in Chennai that's like a 5-star hotel. It's a trick. They named their hotel to be similar to another hotel, so people thought it was the same hotel. So when you look up the VJ Park, if you type in, they might give you the wrong hotel, the one that's 5-star. You have to look at the one that has like 10 million bad ratings and has less stars. That's the one I stayed in. Right. Well, I've been to Anand's home. Anand's home is nice. My home is nicer. But yeah, Vichy is a millionaire, but he could have a nicer home. Yeah. No, I wasn't tricked. It's a FIDE tournament. So here's what FIDE does. This is how they roll. When you have a FIDE World Championship, like the World Junior, the World Youth, the Women's World Championship, Candidates Tournament, Interzonal, whatever, as long as FIDE is in charge. If you're in an iffy country, like in the 70s and 80s in Eastern Europe, or India, or anything like that, they have a very, very bad hotel. They charge you 10 times what the locals would pay, and you're required to stay there, and the hotel and FIDE do their whatever they do under the table, whatever the agreement they have. So that hotel is like 5 or 10 euros a night, the one in India I stayed at. But for the chess players, it's 100 euros a night, and you're required to stay at the hotel, or you can't go to the tournament. All the players, coaches stay at the hotel. So the hotel's full. They make incredible amount of money. The players are unhappy, and FIDE gets their money from the hotel. That's the way it's always been. That's the way they do it. Yeah, it's been like that forever. Now, I'm not one of the top 10 players in the U.S., so for me, that didn't happen to me. I just heard about it, but it did happen to me once or twice, where I had to do what I had to do, and it wasn't nice. But now, luckily in China, when we played in the World Team Championship, that's different because those are the best players in the world, and they don't put up with that. If you're going to a World Youth or a World Junior, that's just kids and coaches. So they got to gouge you. But I was in China at the World Team. Those were strong players. I was not one of the top 50 players in that hotel. I probably wasn't one of the top 100 players in that hotel. So you're not going to have the 100 best players in the world treated like that by FIDE. They wouldn't put up with that. So that was actually nice. That was a 5-star hotel in China, Ningbo. That was beautiful. Now the air conditioning wasn't good, but that wasn't the hotel's fault. That's China's fault. But it was beautiful. How was the food? The food wasn't too good. The food at other restaurants was good though. Now I was at a 5-star hotel. That hotel in Ningbo was called the New Century Hotel. Now, there's actually 2 New Century hotels in Ningbo. One's nicer than the other one. We stayed in the nicer one. Yeah, my friend Aviv was in Ecuador, I think. Hope I didn't get the country wrong. I'm pretty sure it was Ecuador. I might get the country wrong. It was South America. I think it was Ecuador. About 3 weeks ago, he was not happy. Yeah. And it's 50-50 in South America. Sometimes Aviv's like, this is the best hotel ever. This is the best food ever. These are the best organizers ever. And then sometimes he's like, oh, God. I mean, it's 50-50 when you go to these tournaments. So now you go to St. Louis. The chess club's great. The Chase Royal Sonesta Hotel is great. The food's great. The organization's great. You get paid. You get your appearance fee. You get your flights. You get your hotel. You get the snacks there for the players is buffet style. I mean, yeah. I mean that's just first class all the way, and you know that, and that's why all these grandmasters want to play in St. Louis because they know how they're going to be treated, and it's very risky to go to a tournament you've never been to before because you don't know what the organizers are going to do. Had that happen. Luckily, I'm not good enough where it happens all the time. I'm sure Yasser and Joel Benjamin and Gulko and, Kaidanov, Yermolinsky, DeFermian, Fedorowicz, guys who won some U.S. championships and played in Olympiads and played chess all over the world more than I have. I'm sure they got stories. And then some. Rollo just subscribed again. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Did we get a donation? Yeah, we did get one donation, I think. That's pretty good. That's better than 0. It's close. Let's see. How do I have that much? Wait, it doesn't make any sense. What? Did I miss a donation? I got... What? I got donations today? Doesn't sound like me. Probably got some followers. 8 hours ago. Oh, okay. So when I wasn't streaming, 8 hours ago, I got a donation. That's why my donations look okay. A big donation. When I say big, bigger than you guys. Oh, thank you. I was like, I didn't get any donations. What's going on? All right, well, that's good. Hooray. The 666 bits is pretty good. I like that. All right. So yeah, thanks for the donation 8 hours ago. I actually got another donation at like 3 a.m. a couple of days ago, just randomly when I'm not streaming. They don't want the publicity; they just want to donate quietly. Yeah. All right. It's 9. So let's look at today's games. Actually, 2 decisive games today. Who would have thunk it? Not I. Current round. Okay. So we looked at 12 games in 2 hours. We got 6 more to go. We'll probably have some leftover time, so we'll have a tournament or something. Or something. Or I'll play Blitz, or I don't know, I'll resign. Mainly or something. Not the wheel subscribed. I could go back 2 hours and read the chat for 2 hours. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Oh. Wait, that's good. Most educational channel on Twitch. Now you're talking. Exactly. All right. I guess I could, but it's called Sinquefield Cup Recap, and then we look at Trying to Learn's game. Oh, God. Well, they could pick a nicer hotel in India, but probably they wouldn't get the kickbacks. So I'm guessing some FIDE official made $10,000 giving that hotel the tournament. They fill the hotel. Everybody plays 100 euros a night. So, there probably are hotels in India that actually are 100 euros a night. So this one's like 10 euros a night, but charge a chess players 100. Anyway, I'm sure now that Nigel is one of the FIDE vice presidents, everything's fine now. All right. What's this? Friend request? Oh, no, it's some nonsense. Okay, so here, Fabiano Caruana versus Viswanathan. And once again, Bishop F4 QGD. If White ever wins the game, let me know. All right. And B6. We've seen this before. Yeah, and I think we saw this in one of the games already. It was like Queen A5 check, Bishop A6. But he played A3. So I guess after Queen A5 check, I can play B4 now. All right. And he played B4. All right, so he's trying to get an advantage. Bishop D6. And this is probably the end of theory or near the end of it. Anand played knight B8, which is that's the right move. You got to get out of the way of these pawns, and the knight on A6 is just silly. Yeah. And now, Anand really surprised me with his move. The move seems to be fine. Play B5. He just wants to play A5 and hammer these pawns. And he did. And this move also surprised me. I'm not even sure I would consider this move if I was white. The move that Fabi played. I mean, Black's going to play A5 and start hitting these pawns. So he played D5, and after takes, he played E5. Now, obviously, if I play E5 right away, I'm giving away this diagonal and the D5 square. So he blocks it up first. Super aggressive way of playing. The engine doesn't like it, but at least he's trying. Okay. He gets the F5 square, knife F5. Maybe he'll checkmate him. Maybe he'll get the C file. But he is down a pawn. All right. And Vichy played great. A5's great. Knife F5. Rook E8's excellent. don't know if I would take. I mean, I got to stop bishop f8 as much as the next guy, but still. And castles. Man, the engine just says black's better. I mean, black's obviously worse in the position, but black's up a pawn. So black's better. Engine doesn't like rook c8. Thinks it's too slow. That's saying you could play this rook here or trade rooks. Black's better. c6 is also pretty slow. I don't know why he played c6. He could just play... Well, he plays knight b6 to c4. Maybe queen c6 is annoying. No, that should be good. Yeah. The engine says everything black does is better because black's up a pawn. But now he plays f6, throwing his advantage away. Never play f6. Which is true. That the computer doesn't like f6. So this is a very nice move from Fabi. He wants to play rook a7. That's why he played bishop f2. And Anand gets out of there. Now, I don't understand this. I've had several engines look at this game, and it says, like, everything's about equal, and white was never better. And yet, Maurice Yasser and Jennifer, on the live commentary, they said, oh, queen h3, that's no good. That throws away white's advantage. I can't find an engine that ever said white had the advantage. And it says queen h3 is fine. So I don't know. Their engines are different than mine, I guess. So he played queen h3. And then after takes, there's a forced draw here with bishop h4. Queen b6, bishop f2, always repeat. Very reasonable outcome to the game. Fabi took this way, which is a mistake. And now black is slightly better, but it still should be a draw, I think. Wouldn't even call it a mistake. Rook c7 is good. And here, Anand made a very interesting decision. Instead of playing queen c8, which, I mean, white wants to play bishop h4, so we got to stop that. And then, you know, try to win. He just played this, which just leads to a draw, which is fine. Drawing's okay. He's getting pinned on both of his rooks here. He didn't know which rook to pin. But it's just a draw because it's a knight and 2 pawns for a rook, and there's nothing on the board. Just empty board. So I don't think Caruana was ever better this game, and maybe Vichy was. But okay, players have no pieces on the board. All right, they found a repetition. Very smart of them. Yeah. So I don't agree that queen h3 was a mistake. I don't think white was ever better. I think one good thing about this game compared to some of the draws is Fabi tried really hard to win. He played like a different idea in the opening, a3, b4. Anand played b5. Caruana sacked a pawn. He castled late in the game. The material was imbalanced. And they both played pretty well, so it was a draw. Okay, so, all right. Commentators were pretty negative about some of the moves, but I think that was just a well-played draw. So I got nothing. I don't think Vichy's going to be unhappy about that. Magnus was unhappy that his opponent played so well this game against Ding. So this is a very interesting game because Magnus tried something new, which Ding obviously didn't know. Makes sense, it's new. And Ding just defended well. So they play this weird Nimzo Indian. And what's funny is I've had this position with white. And there's a senior master in Michigan named Fred Lindsay. And he used to play queen takes d4, and after knight c6, play bishop takes. And this was a line that he played with white. And he would try to win, but I mean, white has nothing here. It's just equal. And he actually lost a game in Canada to a grandmaster, Arneson, I think. I actually know that, but knight takes d4 I don't know. That's what Magnus did. That seems like a better move. And Magnus played instantly, so this is all theory. And now black's playing super aggressive because white's king is on e1. So Ding is trying to punish his opponent for never being able to castle. And, black wants to play rook d8 and knight c6 and queen takes a2. Okay, so he took on a2. And this is all theory because Magnus was playing instantly. And so white sacrifices a pawn, but black's got this going on, and white has an initiative without queens. And this position, Magnus took like a minute to get this position. So I'm sure we're still in his prep here. And the position is equal if two engines are playing, but you would assume if Magnus has looked at this position, his opponent has not, and the position is equal, that's a huge advantage to Magnus. And just after the game, Magnus said, yeah, Ding defended great. What am I going to do? So knight c6 is the right move. And bishop takes g5 is obviously fine. And white has this huge attack. Now here, black could lose pretty quickly if his king gets in trouble. Now, for example, to me, this is a pretty obvious move. Bishop takes e3. That looks good. And the engine says no good. It says knight takes, rook e2. It says you go here or you resign. Bishop b6, rook e4, threatening rook g4 mate is just winning. So bishop c1. Now king d1, double exclam, getting the bishop off of this diagonal so that we can attack this king and checkmate him. King d1's a nice move. I like that. And if you move the bishop off the diagonal, which is not recommended, then we could go check, which we couldn't do before. And then rook e4 threatening mate. King h6 is the one who to stop mate. And then this move wins. We're threatening everything. And plus 1,000. Yeah. The funniest variation is check, check. Okay, so you could see like somebody falling into that and losing and misunderstanding the position. But Ding played f6, which normally I wouldn't like. But not only does it defend the bishop, but now the king can escape. It gives the king some more escape squares. Knight f3. And now he takes on e3. And plays bishop c1. Excellent. Yeah, there's no mate because the king is escaping. But he tries. Rook e4. Okay, now, when the game ended, Magnus was like, whoa, when he played e5, that might be going too far because you're opening up this diagonal. But it seemed like it was okay. And the engine right now is saying bishop b2 is a move and king f7 is a move. Not a big fan of e5. But after looking at it, it says e5 is okay. We're having white get an extra attacker, but it's sort of killing these two pieces, and it activates this bishop, stopping rook g4 check. And remember, black has 2 pawns up, but white has this big initiative because these pieces haven't moved yet. Here comes Magnus. And king g6 is the only move. The engine says that's the best. Rook here. And then bishop g4 is an excellent defensive move. You can't take the bishop because you lose your rook. The rook is defending the rook. So black doesn't really mind losing a pawn or two as long as he avoids getting mated because he's already up 2 pawns. So good defense. Bishop d3 is the only good move. f5 is the only good move. The engine says these moves are great. Again, you can't take the bishop because you're losing your rook. So the engine says this is right. It says both players are playing great. And now, again, the best move, the only move, king g5. There is no other move. Of course, rook g7 mate is a threat. Can't play rook g7 now because you lose your rook. Okay, g3 is a good move according to the engine. And he did it again. He's Rook G7's mate, so he plays Rook G8. And Black's up a pawn, and he's stopping White's attack. So Magnus got his pawn back, and now Black's fine. Black's attacking himself. Yeah. And there's no pieces left, so yeah. So I mean, just great defense from Ding. Yeah. I mean, Ding probably found 3 or 4 only moves that game. And again, I said it before he's 2,800 and played 100 games in a row without losing, and it wasn't luck. Ding defends really well. Difficult position against Magnus that Magnus prepared, still drew. Lost position against Anand, still drew. And won a very nice game against Giri early in the tournament. That's why he's tied for first. And that's why he hardly ever loses. When you're the best player in China, you're pretty good because they got about 2,700 players. And he's obviously the best player in China. And probably Yu is obviously the second. Not you, but you. You understand. All right, good chat I can see. Good chat. And by good chat, I mean, not good. So we got 3 players in the tournament, Magnus, Wesley So, and Mamedyarov, who after 8 rounds have had 8 draws each. That's unbelievable. I don't even know what's less likely. Magnus drawing his first date or Mamedyarov. So drawing his first date, Spencer would bet on that. But Mamedyarov and Magnus drawing their first date. Jeez. Okay, unusual results. All right, finally we're going to see a win. Finally. The first win of the broadcast today. My broadcast. It's a broadcast? Karjakin versus MVL. And, great preparation by Karjakin. He basically got a position with 2 results, and he got the right result. So they played 1 billion moves of theory in a Grunfeld. Because that's what MVL does. He plays the Grunfeld. Okay. Now in this position, I think Maxime usually plays B6, which is not what a lot of Grunfeld aficionados do. Svidler, for example, will play Bishop G4 here, or Queen C7. I'm sure he's also played B6, but I don't think that's his main move. And this position has occurred 1 trillion times. Karpov-Kasparov match, they did this a lot. And, B6 is a move. And now White can take on C5. If White takes on C5 otherwise, he just has this bad pawn structure. But there's a pawn on B6, so we're basically just winning a pawn. And Black plays Queen C7 and says, yeah, you're up a pawn. That's a great pawn over there. So he's getting pressure on the C file, pressure on the diagonal, and White's center is destroyed. But White's up a pawn. So, and again, this is all prep. This is all their preparation. So, yeah. Everything they did here, they did instantly. All these moves were played without thought. Threatening mate. Okay. So Black has the 2 bishops. White has the worst pawn structure ever. Sounds good for Black. But White has an extra pawn, and White's threatening this rook. Also, C6, C7 looks pretty good. Again, this is their prep. They're just moving instantly. And I guess their prep ended around here. Here they started slowing down, I think. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is the end of their prep. It could be they have more prep than this. White wins the exchange. Black wins back the exchange because the bishop and the rook are hanging. But White has this bishop on d5. So at the end of all this, to me, and I think I speak for my fellow GMs, MVL got to do something else. This has to go in the garbage. That's my opinion. 500 centidues. Go Ben. Thanks, Born in Oz. I think this will not be repeated. Now, I don't know what else black can do, because up until here, I mean, the players were playing really quickly, and it's obviously their prep. And sometime between moves 18 and 23, their prep ended. But this is unacceptable for black. This pawn is hanging, giving white a passed A pawn. My rook is better than your rook. My bishop is better than your bishop. And I'm up a pawn or two. So this is unacceptable for black. So if this ever happens again, this line in the Grunfeld, at some point between moves 13 and 17, MVL is going to do something else. Because you can't do this. This is his prep, and it basically almost loses by force. So he's the world's leading authority on the Grunfeld along with Svidler. So, man, if Svidler saw this game, he'd be on the roof, if you know what I mean. I don't even know what I mean, but this is unacceptable for black. And these opposite color bishop positions, when one bishop's on the F-pawn, there's just no defense. I mean, it's terrible. And so you got this problem, you got this problem, and my bishop is cemented on D5. It ain't going away. So this is maybe losing for black. I don't know. I mean, I know at least the first 17, 18 moves is MVL's prep. And we're on move 23, and he can almost resign. So he's got to go back to the drawing board. Yeah. This is unacceptable. I think Karjakin played perfectly this game. Okay, and again, you can't have this pawn here forever, so you got to play F5 at some point. I agree. But I mean, white's up a pawn, and white's got this. So should just be winning for white. Yeah, this move is actually bad. And the reason it's bad, if you didn't see this game, see, if MVL was playing you, that would be a good move. But MVL was playing Karjakin, so it wasn't a good move. The engine says bishop c7 is the best move, stopping the pawn. But okay, white's a pawn ahead, and white has two passed pawns, and black's king isn't safe. So maybe he could draw. But after this, he's definitely lost. If you didn't see the game, try to guess what the winning move is here for white. I think MVL just missed it. That's my opinion. Now, e4, that would be great for black. Then I have this monster bishop here. Anybody? Well, I mean, this bishop is attacked. That's, you can't play king e2. If you're going to give your bishop away, you might as well take my bishop first. Yeah, so you guys aren't going to play this move. You can take the bishop, then I'll take your bishop. Then this pawn's pinned. Queen here, check is coming. You ain't going to win that position. That's just a draw. Yeah. Yeah, Desperate Times got it. He put a question mark, meaning he knew what the answer was. He pretended he didn't. Well done. I agree. Yeah, bishop c4 is just crushing. And the reason is you can't play queen takes because I queen. God damn. Queen takes looks like just the dead drawing move, but you can't stop my pawn. If only this pawn wasn't here, then you draw. Yeah. Well, if you can't play queen takes pawn, you can't play bishop takes pawn, and now your bishop's hanging, bishop there is insane. So you have to play bishop takes. You have to. Okay? And unfortunately, always repeat, black's king's no good. So we got a no good king that's in a mating net, and we have a pawn that's queening. So black can't trade queens into the dead drawn bishop of opposite color ending because this pawn is queening. And you got to trade queens so you don't get checkmated. So you got to trade queens, but you can't trade queens. Trade queens, I queen. Don't trade queens, I mate you. So anyway, he played the only move, according to the engine, bishop d4. And the idea is if you check, I can block with the bishop. But now these aren't ready to stop the a-pawn. Your queen needs to defend your king, and your queen needs to stop the a-pawn. Those are pretty far apart. So the game's just lost. There's no perpetual check. My king just hides here. If you check me, on over here, my king hides on h3. So he tried, and he failed miserably. The lesson is never try. Oof. There's nothing to do. Here it comes. You can't take on a7 because your bishop's hanging. Did anyway. Yeah, bishop d3. That was nice. So probably MVL was hoping for what you guys would do. King here. Draw. That's what you guys would have done. Stalemate. If you don't like that, I can go here and also draw. Okay. But Karjakin not falling for that. He played bishop here. That way there's no stalemates. The pawn could move. That's why Karjakin became a grandmaster at 12 years and 7 months. And you don't even know a grandmaster. You can't even name a grandmaster. So now we're threatening queen f8 mate with advantage and g5 mate with advantage. You got to stop them both. The engine plays queen here check, even though it loses a queen, because it gets mated the slowest. So that was really, really, really nice of Karjakin. a7, or queen here. He saw after takes here, bishop d3 wins. That's really nice calculation. And he got mated. Can't play g5 mate because it's pinned. Yeah, very nice by Karjakin. So, really nice technique. Almost a perfect game from Karjakin. Good opening prep. Back to the drawing board for MVL. That line in the Grunfeld, no good. Whatever that line was, he got to play another line. Because he got a position where maybe he can draw, but probably he'll lose more often. And no winning chances, just bad opening. And great technique by Karjakin. Great game. Yeah. And avoiding the stalemate, nice. Good job, Karjakin. All right, one decisive game deserves another. We got Nepo versus Aronian. Da-da-da. I think you're going to resign now, Aronian. Okay, so we got, also he shall be Levon. And he shall be a good man. Now remember, Levon won the St. Louis Rapid and Blitz, surprising the audience, and now he's in the last place in the Sinquefield Cup. The truth hurts. See, that's not how Magnus does it. Magnus just comes in the middle in both. All right. So they played the boring Joko piano. Oh, so boring. Oh. Okay, then, it got a little interesting. Not too interesting. Okay, now, as you know, I'm an aficionado of cartoons. And one cartoon I know that I never talk about is Popeye. Okay? And whenever Popeye's getting the sugar me do, at some point, because the episode has to end, a Popeye cartoon can't go on forever, Popeye has to eat the spinach and then beat everybody up. Before he eats the spinach, he usually says, I've had all I can stands, I can't stands no more, and then eats the spinach and beats them up. Before that, he didn't mind getting the smackdown and Olive Oil's getting sexually harassed, I assume. That's okay. But at some point, okay, that's it. And this is actually one of the funniest things about the movie Snakes on a Plane. Maybe the only funny thing. On Snakes on a Plane, the whole movie, bad stuff is happening. But the movie has to end at some point. You can't have a movie just never end. So at some point, Sam Jackson says, I've had enough of all this Snakes on a Plane. And then he kills all the snakes. Before that, everything was fine. But at some point, Sam Jackson's like, that's enough. Now we're going to put an end to it. Okay? And Popeye does that every episode. Now, why am I talking about this? Because we're on move 13, and Levon has had all he can stands. He can't stands no more. I was making fun of the game, saying how boring it was, and he's like, all right, let's go. And the engine agrees. The engine says, go Levon. He shall be Levon. D5. Yay, exciting for the spectators. And we could play knight G3 and still try to keep it boring, but that's not how Nepo rolls. He takes it. So now we have an imbalance. This pawn's potentially weak. This pawn's potentially weak. And we're opening up the game. Okay. The engine says it's equal, of course. All right. Now, over the next 10 moves, Levon doesn't play well. Sometimes you don't play well. I was not playing well before Levon was born, so I know how not to play well. The engine says lots of moves are okay. Queen d6, defending the pawn some more, connecting the rooks. a5, gaining space on the queen side, also okay. Queen d7's okay. Again, connecting the rooks. Levon made a move I probably wouldn't consider. If it was a closed position, I would consider, but not here. He played knight h7. That seems like not a good move. I'm sure the knight's better on f6. That move is really surprising to me. Okay, now here Nepo follows one of my important rules. When your opponent plays b5, you play a4. Now, obviously, if black's going to move over here and retreat, this is a good time to attack and soften him up. So that's a good move. Now he makes another move I don't like, knight f8. He's moving his knight around, not good. Okay, and Nepo gets more space. Knight g6. So he did this knight maneuver, wasted a lot of time, I don't know. Bishop e3, trades the bishops, and now I like this next through from Nepomniachtchi. I don't know if I would play it, but I like it. F takes, making sure the knight can never go to f4, more pawns controlling the center, and the engine says white has a very nice position. He wasted a lot of time putting his knight on g6, but to what effect? The answer is fries. The knight d2 is a really good positional move because he wants to control e4. So knight e4 is good, the other knight to e4 is good, and even knight b3 to c5 is good. So this is another excellent move. Then he goes knight e7. I don't like that move. Knight b3. Here we come. The pawn's attacked on g2 and c3. Defends them both. Attacks it again. White only has one move. This move is probably the losing move. He's basically forcing white to play the only move to defend g2 or to stop g2, which is e4, which happens to be a very good move. It just makes the knights all silly. So if he plays bishop e6, black doesn't really have an active plan. White's like winning on all three sides of the board. So instead, he plays queen g6, threatening the knight, trying to be tricky. King h2 is a very simple defense. Knight c5. And obviously, black's game is terrible here. The black can't do anything. All his pieces are trapped. His a6 pawn is weak. The knight on c5 can't be kicked out. Now remember this knight on h4, how it started out on f6. When you play the move b5 and d5, which Levon, I didn't do it, Levon did it. You have to be wary of the c5 square. And Aronian's like, my bishop's here, my knight can go to d7. Well, his knight can't go to d7, and they traded the dark square bishops. So that knight's on c5 forever. Now, for you guys, that doesn't matter. Nobody hung anything yet. The engine says white's up 1.75. Black's already losing. There's a weak pawn here. This rook is defending it. This knight is great. This knight is trapped. I have more pawns in the center. Your bishop can't do Viswanathan. Your knight can't move. Yeah, totally outplayed strategically. Very unusual for Levon. I would say Levon is obviously a better strategical player than Nepo. Nepo's better at being tricky. He's better at messing the game up. But here he just got outplayed. Now, when you're getting crushed strategically, you don't just want to sit back and lose. You got to fight. You got to fight the powers that be. Elvis was a hero to most. He never... Well, I can't sing this song because I'll get in trouble. Okay, and John Wayne too. All right, fight the power. All right, so he played F5 because you got to fight the power. You got to get some action going, right? You can't just sit back. Takes on F5. Always play he takes F5. And unfortunately, black gets some activity, but he gives away the E4 square. Bam! Now, those knights are there forever, all up in black's grill. Very bad position for black. And he's just strategically lost because those knights are too good. This pawn's too weak. This knight's trapped. This pawn on E5 is weak. It's a very bad position. Queen E1's a nice move. Defending his knight, getting off of this, and attacking this. Very good. And now he fixes the pawn on A6 with the move A5. Now for the next 800 moves, he's got to worry about that. And black has no counterplay. So eventually he took it. Very boring game. White took a pawn, white wins. Nothing's going on. He just wins with his pawn. Always repeat. Always repeat. Good, good. Uh-oh. And the truth hurts. King C8 doesn't help because I could check the king away. The king can't go to B7. So he plays there, stopping queen takes H4 check and stopping queen F8 check. Still take it. And he resigns because he trades queens. Yeah, this pawn queens. So, very strange game from Aronian. He got outplayed strategically, positionally. He was going to lose his A6 pawn for sure. He did lose it, and he lost. This looks like more the kind of game I would lose. Just getting outplayed, not knowing what I did wrong, and then I lose. And Aronian has played these double king pawn openings with black in Gioco Piano, Italian, Rui Lopez all the time. So to lose like that for him, it just wasn't his day. He played a bad game. And when you play a bad game in a slow tournament, then you lose. Play a bad game in a blitz or rapid, you can still win. And because of that game, and because of the blunder he made against Caruana about 4 days ago, when Fabi won a draw and endgame against him, Aronian has 2 losses and 6 draws. Clear last. Normally, 6 draws and 2 losses isn't clear last. Not normally. But he can still, he has time to win a game or two and gets to the middle of the pack. So, Levon not playing a good game. Now, Nepo was in last place himself after round 1 and 2, and now he's tied for first. How quickly things change. Okay, one of the most boring games of the round was the game between the 2 Americans, Naka and So. Another trade fest. And I say a lot of bad things about Naka, because, why not? But the one bad thing I'll say about him, which I think is agreed upon, some of the things I say may be controversial. Naka's opening preparation with white of the top 20 players in the world is probably the worst. If you said name the top 20 players in the world, and you put Naka in there somewhere, then you said who has the worst opening preparation, it's going to be Naka. And Naka with white always gets nothing against people's own rating. Obviously against me, I'd lose in 10 moves. But so he did it again. He just got nothing. Bishop F4. Nobody's on Bishop F4 this tournament. Yeah. And now every move traded everything. In fact, I don't even understand why Bishop F4 is more common than Bishop G5. Bishop F4 is just drawing every game. You should just play the Catalan. Now, the problem is Wesley's really good with white and black in the Catalan. Wesley's opening prep's really good. So now they trade everything. And I'm sure it's just theory. Okay, this pawn's attacked. So. And then everything got traded. I can't even believe how much trading is going on. You ever see anything like this? This is crazy. They had to trade all the pieces off. Then they found this repetition and draw. I mean, now obviously Wesley's black. He wants to draw. He wants to equalize. He wants to trade everything off. But Naka's white, so it shouldn't be on move 20. It's already over. And they're just looking for repetition. There should be some way to keep pieces on the board and try to squeeze. And I don't know what to say. Bishop f4 QGD is very popular, and all the games are draws. So why is it popular? Why can't white do something else? White got nothing in any of the games. All the QG bishop were draws. Okay, and they trade everything. It's not even an interesting draw. This is the kind of draw people don't like. Giri might say, well, they both played well. Nobody made a mistake. I mean, every move they traded. Like round move 3, there's no pieces left. So that's just, obviously it's good defense by Wesley. But I mean, it's just a prep draw. He prepares the first 10, 15 moves. It's all zeros. There's no pieces on the board. And they agree to a draw. I mean, you got to try harder with white. You got to get something. I mean, yeah. They trade all the pieces off. I mean, that's not, got to do something else. Okay, now this game was interesting. This was an interesting draw. Then the players gave up. They're like, this is too interesting. Stop being so interesting. Okay, Mamedyarov Giri. They played this line in the Moscow take. Okay. Now, in this position, white played something I've never seen before. It's something I would do in a 1-minute game. The Bad Nader subscribed. Instead of playing boring with white, which is what I do, move your queen, bishop d3, castle, rook c1, h3, a3, maybe play for e4. He played knight e5, f4. Okay, that's a super sharp. And then h4. Roar! All right. And then he's going to castle queenside. Okay, so this is what we want to see. A game that's unlikely to lead to a draw. And, is this good? Is this bad? I don't know. And Mamedyarov really tried to win this game. He went all in. Okay, Giri's trading, of course. G4. Okay, so obviously, black can't do very much, but black has the 2 bishops. And white's trying to open it up on the king side, but white's dark squares are very weak once the pawns go away. These pawns create a wedge against black's bishop, so the bishop isn't powerful. So he played f6, never do that. And that makes the black bishop much better, not to mention the rook. And that's a very dangerous move because white takes on g6 and plays bishop to d3. Okay, so already we're threatening, to come in there, give checkmate. Okay, e4. Now, obviously, if black plays e4 and white retreats his bishop, bishop d3 made no sense. So having said A, we must, continue. Bishop e8. I think taking here just loses. It says it doesn't lose. It says that, it does say it loses, yeah. It's like queen takes e4 wins and bishop takes e4 does not. It's hard to believe. Okay, Giri played bishop e8. All right. And you have to play knight f6 check because your queen's trapped. Okay. So white sacrifices a piece and he's like going all in. And the engine doesn't like it because the engine sees every legal move and finds the proper defense. Okay. So far, so good. Giri's playing all the right moves. Good. And I remember watching, I was like falling asleep during the round because I was tired today because I flew back. And he thought forever here, Mamedyarov. The engine says rook hg1 equal, but he played queen h3. And the engine doesn't like that and says after dc, black is better. We're trying to get the bishop off of this diagonal so we can play rook f5 and bishop g6 and etc. So after dc, bishop c, rook f5, the engine prefers black. He played rook to d8, and now it says all zeros again. And 2,800 players are really good at finding draws in positions where it's hard to find. He played g6, looks normal. And if black wants to win, he has to play rook f5, which seems like an odd move because it's hanging. Black's not better after rook f5, but it's a winning attempt. After rook f6, the game ends immediately. Now again, white's down a piece, so in like 3 or 4 moves, white's going to resign. White's down a piece. But he has this very nice trick that draws. Tricks are for kids. Now this trick doesn't work if black's rook is on f5, because in this position, he could play king f6. If the rook was on f5, it wouldn't be on f6. You can't play king g8 because your queen's hanging. So you have to just play this draw. And that's how the game ended in perpetual. So he sacked a piece, castled opposite sides, went all in, couldn't find a win, and sacked his queen for a perp. So still a draw. But we had 2 decisive games today. This game could have gone either way. Magnus had good winning chances against Ding. Anand and Caruana was back and forth. Either one of them could have won if there was a mistake, but it seems like they played pretty well. So it was a pretty good round. Could have had 3 decisive games, which is a ton. Having said that, we've played 8 rounds, 48 games in the Sinquefield Cup, 6 decisive, 42 draws. Some people don't like that. Giri says it's great. What can I tell you? So that was the last 3 rounds of the Sinquefield Cup. Now the standings are very strange. There's a 5-way tie for first at +1. Anand has a win. He won round 1, and then he drew his next 7. Caruana's at +1. He beat Aronian in round 3 or 4 and has all draws. Nepo lost a game in round 1, then he's won 2 since. So he's tied for first, and he has half the decisive games of the tournament. That's pretty good. And then Karjakin won today, so he's at +1. And who's the other guy who won? Oh, Nepo's the other guy who won. There's 5 players. Oh, not Giri. Ding. Ding won in round 3 or 4 maybe against Giri. So there's 5 players with +1. There's 1 player with -2, Aronian. He's in clear 12th. There's 3 players that have all draws, 50%, and they're tied for 6th, 7th, 8th. And then a couple people, Naka and Giri, are -1. So anything can still happen. Probably anybody who's +1 or 50% can still win the tournament. There's 3 rounds left. Now, hello. Hey. It's Spencer. Now, something you don't know, and Spencer doesn't know, and Karen probably knew and forgot. They're having a chess 960 after. Okay, after this. But it's well known, Spencer doesn't know, that Kasparov is going to play Caruana. Did you know that, Spence?
In what?
I did.
960.
Mm-hmm.
That's not good for Kasparov. I don't really care about that. But there's 3 other matches. And the one that's the most interesting, obviously, is Aronian Naka, because there's no favorite. Right. The other ones are like Topalov, nobody cares.
I don't care about 960 at all.
Yeah, but now here's what's funny. Last year, Kasparov played Topalov, and Topalov took him to school. Now he's playing Caruana?
Did he take him to old school?
Yeah. Man, Caruana's gonna beat.
Hey, maybe Spencer can sit down for me.
If he wants to.
Think I should.
I just looked at the last 3 rounds. Spencer and Karen are here.
So it's like 18 draws.
The alarm wasn't set because you guys knew I was coming back tonight.
Yeah.
I didn't set it.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it looks good. Spencer made the check, and I saw on the thing, and it says, "For the best teacher, hire me." That's good. Yeah. Do you see
That's
that?
me.
What now?
You know, on our sheet of like teachers we recommend.
Instructors.
Yeah. His is like the best one is Spencer than these other people.
I think
You did that?
Yeah,
I thought that Spencer would do that. That sounds like a Spencer thing.
But I did put the frame with the business cards. You know.
Yeah.
I did that.
yeah.
Yeah, and I saw everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you put a lot of Perrier in there.
Yeah, and the other one too.
Iced tea?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Perrier.
I put like I don't know, maybe 12 iced teas.
In my opinion, Karjakin MVL today. Karjakin played perfect.
I didn't see it.
Perfect prep, perfect after the
Did you
prep.
already show it?
I show every game. So it was a Grunfeld. It was the craziest Grunfeld ever. Then when they're at a prep, like MVL's lost.
What?
Yeah. Also, I gotta show you. I gotta show you how you give them the sugar me do.
I just assume every game's a draw.
There were 2 decisive games today.
Whoa.
Also, Ding was like defending against Magnus. He defended perfect like 1,000 moves in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And then Magnus is like, yeah, Ding defended pretty well. I don't know. He's like, I don't know.
Dang.
Guess he defends too well.
But I didn't.
No, you gotta see how Karjakin gave him the sugar me do.
I'm not paying attention to this tournament. And I really don't like the 960 part.
I'm not a 960 fan, but I want to see Caruana destroy Kasparov. Then Kasparov never plays. Oh, yeah. So watch the sugar me do at the end.
Kasparov will still be talking a lot. I should have won this game and that game. You know he's gonna be doing that, right?
Yeah. Okay. You watching
Why
this?
can't I look at the whole game? Just click through it.
Yeah, but then it's too boring for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so they played 100 moves of prep in a Grunfeld.
Wow.
And then in this position where there's a million games, obviously, he played B6.
I've seen him do that actually.
Right.
Yeah, he's played it before.
They did all this instantly.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think, like, Black's just lost. So I think he has to, like, change his openings.
Oh, B6 has always been dubious.
Yeah. And then, like, they slow down here. Like,
Yeah.
the White's just winning here. So this is terrible. Like, that's good,
Yeah,
and
you're
that's good, and yeah. So I think...
Karjakin must love this position, too.
Yeah. But anyway, watch the sugar me do. So now...
Classic Karjakin
Okay, now I want to... Don't look at the moves.
Okay.
Okay. You promise?
I'm not looking.
Okay. Okay, I got rid of it.
Okay.
Here, MVL played the tricky move, but it's a blunder.
Bishop D4?
Yeah.
Got it,
What's the
got
winning
it.
move for White?
Too easy here.
No.
Oh, okay. So my pawn's hanging. Oh.
In the chat, like 90% of people didn't notice Black wants to take that. So, like, what kind of move is that?
Yeah?
Yeah.
I guessed it before you played it, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
You mean like Spandau Ballet True?
I don't know what that means.
It's a song by Spandau Ballet from before you were born. Right? You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
This one just-
Is that your favorite group?
Yeah, they're
Man, Spencer would
they're
really
actually
hate that group, right? That would be his most hated group. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be your most hated if you ever heard them sing. Yeah.
Do you like them better or Air Supply?
They're very similar to Air Supply. I saw Air Supply in concert when I was 7.
I saw them too.
When I was 7?
And I was,
If you were 10, then yeah.
I think I was 16.
No. I saw them first. Man, the crowd loved them. They're loud.
I can't really find a good move.
Right, are you ready?
All right.
Yeah, Karjakin's pretty good. That's by far the best move.
What's
It's not
the
even
point
close.
of it? Why
The
can't
point
I
is you
take
can't move
pawn?
the C pawn. So I queen.
Oh.
So queen takes, I take and play
I
A5.
didn't understand that.
Yeah, he's good, right?
That is
So
good.
he takes with the bishop, but
Right,
now that's
right.
blocked forever.
Anyway.
So now he just, like, you can never trade queens,
That
ever.
is really
You can
strong.
never trade queens. And I'm mating you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to stop mate and not trade queens. That's pretty tricky, right?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
too good.
Right. Okay, so watch this.
Still, it looks tough.
No,
to
but
beat.
watch this. Watch how MVL tries to give him the sugar me do.
It feels pretty tough to beat. But why wasn't Queen F4 winning? Here.
Bishop E5.
Immediately.
Uh-huh.
I get it.
Okay, you watching?
Mm-hmm.
All right, watch this.
I'm trying to check him.
Watch this.
Queen F3 or something? Okay, I was ready for that.
All right. Now you would resign if you were black.
No,
Watch what
I
MVL
would-
did.
Some stalemate or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it.
Yeah.
Would be some
King
stalemate.
H4 is stalemate.
Queen H3.
Right. Or G3.
Oh.
Here.
Oh, to give him C4? Dang. But that's mate. Yeah, that's too good.
Now watch
That was
this.
really good.
Bam! Stopping G5 mate.
Queen F8?
Yeah. And he let him mate him.
And
He
then
let
G5,
him
yeah.
do it. Yeah.
Really good game.
Yeah.
Really good game.
Yeah, Karjakin's good. Yeah.
I figured out a lot of that.
Man, that was good.
But I would have never understood Bishop C4.
What was that?
Really?
Cut off further. Lean back this way a little bit.
Who I'm cut off?
Yeah.
They don't want
you
to see
can
me. They
see it.
want to see Spencer.
You can see it there.
No,
So I have two words for you guys. The first one's waffle.
God, I was hoping there'd be like.
Taco?
I was thinking about Indian food.
I
Well,
mean,
it's Sunday and
I
it's
know,
10 o'clock.
That's what I was sad about.
it depends on the time.
Definitely no Indian food Sunday at 10
That's
o'clock.
really sad.
No.
You know what I was thinking, by the way? Fast food Indian fast food.
They have that.
No, I've never seen it.
Yeah, they have that.
Karen,
Yeah.
back me up.
Yeah.
Karen said she's never seen it too.
Yeah, they have that. Yeah. Indian hut. Did you memorize fish or random games? I did. Yeah, Karjakin's good. Now, when you say falafel, even though you misspelled it, do you mean falafel, the backgammon player, or the food?
I would just love Indian food.
Now, there's 475 people watching.
Hey, Raj.
Okay, let's see how smart they are. The backgammon player, who's also a chess player, falafel, what's his real name? Let's see who gets it first. There's so many people watching, somebody will get it.
They'll just like look it up on Google.
Pat
Pat
Buchanan is
Buchanan.
close.
I have to. Yeah, thank you for moving it.
No idea is correct. All Kelly, did you give your $9.99? Sandy Bagger.
That's a good one.
Yes, they actually don't know who falafel is. I played falafel, a USCF rated game.
Mr. Gambit.
Yeah. His name is Matvey Natanzin or Mike Natanzin. Yeah. He used to be ranked number 1 in the world in backgammon. He's probably like number 5 or 6 now. Terrible, frankly. Yeah, also there's Taco Bell.
Taco Hell.
Yeah, so there's a 5-way tie for first. Now, Nepo lost in round 1, as you know. He blundered a rook and resigned against the
know.
Then he's tied for first now.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's 5-way tie for first. And then 3 people. Oh, name the 3 people who, after 8 rounds, have 8 draws.
Anish Giri.
No.
Oh,
he lost
dang
to
it.
Ding. He
I
lost
just
7
guessed.
draws. 7 draws.
Dang it.
Ridiculous.
Okay.
By the way, when
no,
by the way,
Ding, but you just
when,
said he
when he
won.
was being interviewed by Maurice yesterday, he was arguing the draws are great. What's wrong with all draws?
I heard that he was all about the content.
That's right.
Which I agree with, but
Yeah.
that's the problem.
He was
is that
li-
he's not trying to win.
That's correct.
That's why he's getting the draws.
Yeah.
If he was like trying to win and getting the draws,
He tried to lose against Ding. All right,
well,
so name the 3 players with 8 draws. One is obvious. I can't believe you haven't said his name yet.
Wesley So.
Correct. The other 2 are shocking, and you'll fall out of your chair.
Naka.
No.
Oh, he lost or
Yeah,
something. Right?
yeah, he lost.
Uh,
He lost to draw an in-game to
Fabiano
Nepo.
Caruana.
No, he beat Aronian. Aronian's in clear last in 12th, by the way. And he won the
Dang.
Rapid and Blitz.
Poor Aronian. I'm a big
Carlsen.
fan. Magnus. I knew that. Yeah. I knew that.
And Mamedyarov.
Yeah, Mamedyarov.
Wow, 8 draws. Yeah. So
Mamedyarov does get a lot of decisive
there's been
games usually.
48 games, 6 decisive.
Yeah, so Magnus
42
and
draws.
Shaq.
Man, but he played great that game, Karjakin.
That was a good game.
Good prep, and then
Really
good
prep.
and then didn't
Great
get stalemate.
technique. Perfect technique.
Yeah.
But you sort of expect that out of Karjakin.
Shrimply Pibbles subscribe. Thank you.
Nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, that was fantastic. Yeah. That was the best. Oh, man. Anand, 3 rounds in a row, was winning and drew. And then today he was better and
Right.
drew.
Right.
Yeah.
I
But
noticed
you
that.
don't know this about Anand because I read it and I didn't believe it. Somehow the Sinquefield Cup is his tournament. 4 years ago-ish, he lost in rounds 1 and 2.
Okay.
And that's it. He hasn't lost since then. He's played like 49 games in a row without losing in the Sinquefield Cup.
Dang.
Yeah.
But he's never won it.
Right, but he'd be +4 now, and he's
It's still
+1.
weird that,
Yeah.
you know, to say it's his tournament.
I've never seen
He's
Anand
never
mad
won it.
like he was mad yesterday. Right?
Who did he not beat that he should have beat?
He was winning against Giri. He was winning against Wesley. He was really winning against Wesley. And then he was really winning against Ding, like +7.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? Like this
After
guy
Ding-
on Twitter always says like, "Wow, Anand's gonna win today," and then he always tries.
And then when he
It's
played
funny.
Ding, you know how they go
I
down?
forgot the guy's name,
He
though.
left.
Oh,
Anand
yeah.
didn't even go down.
Dang.
He went down the previous day when he drew Giri and should have won, and he was really mad. And like Maurice is like, "Are you?" Like Maurice asked like one question, like was afraid. Yeah, he didn't even go down. He would have killed everybody.
He was mad in the 2013 match too.
Yeah,
That was funny because that lady, the
Yeah.
horrible lady, was the
Yeah.
interviewer. That was annoying for him. I bet.
agreed. Tandoori paneer is also good.
Yeah,
What's
they are
not
talking
good?
about like a lot of good looking food there.
This guy says, if my name was Rick and your name was Morty, we'd be watching Rick and
I
Morty.
noticed
So
that
close.
comment, yeah.
But what if, let me ask you a more important question. What if you marry Spencer Grammer? Will you both be Spencer Feingold?
I suppose.
Yeah.
Wait,
She'd
I
have to
think
take
about
my
Full
name.
House if-
She's
Yeah, I
probably
love
she's
Waffle
probably like
House.
she's probably like the same age as you too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, you
it's
have a
match
Rick and Morty
made.
shirt on. And I have Rick and Morty all over my phone. That's Rick and Morty.
Oh, look at this. We got a noise. Did you see it?
Yeah. $9.99 R.A. Kelly. He's my favorite R.
Thanks,
Kelly.
R.A. Kelly.
Yeah. You guys want to hang? Oh, you didn't know I was streaming?
I did. I asked it. That was part of the text there. See the last line.
Oh yeah. I also heard you're streaming, and I'm awake. My back really hurts today a lot, and now it's like okay. I can still see that it's there, but I had trouble all day. And then Karen's like, carry this, carry this. Then we went to duty free, and she's like, carry this. And I was like, you don't smoke. Yeah, she's like, carry this. I mean, I'm making all that up.
I
but
know.
Still, only a little of it. Some of it I wasn't making up. And then on the shuttle bus, it hurt my back. Come on, back me up. That was bumpy. That was a bumpy shuttle bus. Man, St. Louis is tough.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, remember how when we were there for the 2 rounds, Karen, the weather was perfect?
Yeah.
Today it like rained and like the arbiter was scared.
It was raining here.
There's
too.
a video
That's
of
why my
like
cat's acting all crazy.
you know the skylights they have in St. Louis?
Yeah.
Like it was really noisy right before the round, like it was scary.
Mhm.
Yeah, and he's like, well, I'm the arbiter, what do I do? It's too noisy to play the round.
Oh.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, shut up, God.
What'd they do?
Well, they had decisive games instead of all draws.
Yeah, that's better. Maybe
Yeah.
it is because of the noise.
Yeah. And then the players had umbrellas and they were all wet. Yeah. Why is Bowie the greatest? I don't think
Right.
Spencer thinks that. Yeah.
This guy's part of the Yakuza. Dang,
Well,
that's pretty tough.
Chloe,
are we gonna go to Waffle House?
I'd go to the Waffle.
I would rather like get Taco Bell and go eat it at a house, but we could do Waffle
Oh,
House.
I would definitely rather do Waffle House.
We'll do Waffle. It's just I can't eat a lot. That's okay. No, that's okay. Waffle House is good. I'll get coffee.
You suggested it.
I know.
But I would love Waffle House.
The hash browns.
Hey, that guy quoted Anand. No, I was thinking of what to eat tonight.
Oh, yeah.
That was years ago when the woman
Right,
when
in the 2013
Anand was like
right.
in this variation. She's like,
Yeah,
"Were you thinking
exactly.
about that?" He's like, "No, I was thinking about what to eat tonight." Yeah,
That's funny.
man, he was mad.
Yeah.
What's my favorite TV shows? You know, Rick and Morty, Sanford and Son.
He had tears in his eyes.
Man, Sanford and Son has so many good one-liners. Okay, here's my favorite one-liner from Sanford and Son.
Yeah.
Okay, so Red Fox is like, when I die, I'll be dead, so I won't know what's going on. So I'm gonna have a living will, and we're gonna do it while I'm alive, so I can see how happy everybody is. And Lamont's like, all right. So anyway, they have it, and he goes, Bubba, and Bubba says, yeah, Fred. He says, Bubba, to my best friend, I leave, and all this stuff. And Bubba says, gee, thanks, Fred. He says, yeah. Says, on your way home, drop that off at Grady's house. He got him good.
Grady is
man.
his best friend.
I like that. Drop this off at Grady. Grady wasn't there, so that was good. Yeah, you got him good. Oh, man.
Clapton's better than Frampton. Come on. That's not even a question.
Don't you think Peter Frampton's like a C- or a D+?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Mick Fish. What is it?
Mick Fishbaum.
I can't
Yeah.
really read it from here.
Favorite Bob Sponge line? I mean, the chocolate with nuts, I mean, is such a good episode.
Bob LeBanche.
Oh, maybe when he says this is a hotel.
Oh, yeah. This is
That's a good line, right? And also when he says, why do you have rocks in your suitcase? And Patrick says, I don't tell you how to live your life. So here's what happens. I'll tell Karen because she's not familiar with it. There's an episode where he goes on vacation, Mr. Krabs, and they charge him for everything. Well, he's at a hotel. They charge him for everything. He's like, we're going to make this a hotel so I can charge for everything. So Patrick shows up and says, I want a Krabby Patty. And they're like, sir, this is a hotel now. Says, you got to get a room, then a room service. And he's like, okay, I'll have a room. And then he says, you have luggage? How do you have luggage? You just found this is a hotel. And Patrick says, this is a hotel? Oh, man. That was a good line. And then like,
get him pretty good
he
then.
can't, and then Squidward can't carry the luggage. He says, what, do you have rocks in here? And it opens up and there's rocks. It's like, why are there rocks in here? I don't tell you how to live your life. Maybe that's the best episode. Which episode do you like more? Chocolate with Nuts or the Krusty Towers?
I like Krusty Towers a lot. There are a lot of episodes I like. What about the Tattletale Strangler?
Right, that's pretty cool. What's the
That's a
episode?
great
What's the
one.
episode called where he vacuums up the cookies?
Oh, Grandma's Kisses.
Grandma's kid.
That's a great one.
That's a great one.
That is a timeless classic.
SpongeBob's grandma makes cookies,
Definitely.
and then Patrick's face turns into a vacuum, and he gets all the cookies.
Can I tell you about another good one? When
Yeah.
he's sending in the box tops for like a toy,
Mm-hmm.
and then he gets the toy.
Mhm.
That is a great episode.
I've seen that one.
Great one. I love that one. Some of my favorite jokes are in that one. Highly recommend it. I know all the best.
Have you seen every SpongeBob?
I mean, the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 seasons probably.
Mm.
Something like that. But I don't know how many. Maybe there's only been like 9 seasons or something, so.
Yeah, actually, the Telltale
Not
Strangler
sure.
one's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a great
That
one.
is a pretty good episode.
But also, you know, if you don't remember the one I was talking about with the box tops,
Yeah.
you gotta watch that one again.
Yeah, Box Cat.
Definitely.
Chocolate with Nuts is so good.
I feel like I could do a podcast about like
Yeah.
TV shows that I like.
Mhm.
Just for me though, I don't.
This
I'd
guy
be the
says we
one
need to do a
listening.
podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, he did just.
Yeah, as
he
you were
did just
saying
say
it.
that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Are you related to each other? Yeah, I'm his son. Damn.
It did seem like Ripped Pants is a pretty good one.
Oh yeah, so it
The
seems
song is great.
you don't know
though.
this. I don't think it seems very likely on September 8th. I'm playing a match with Botez.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to know what my secret training regimen is for it.
To play a lot of much weaker players than yourself to get ready for it.
Exactly.
Is that the play?
Have you seen Rocco Modern Life special on Netflix? Only Spencer has seen that.
I don't watch
Yeah.
Rocco's Modern Life.
Yeah.
The Night Shift's pretty good. Yeah.
I like that. I'd watch them talk about cartoons. In fact, I'm doing it right now. Yeah.
My favorite SpongeBob song is Striped Sweater. That's my favorite one. Really
Oh yeah,
good one.
he was telling me that Lawrence Trent played bullet against Amon and crushed him.
What?
Yeah, right. That's crazy, right? I was there in St. Louis, OTB, when Magnus spotted a rook to
Lawrence.
Trent 5 minutes each, and he said, "I'm going to score 4 out of 10." That's what Magnus said, and they played for $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
And after 9 games, Magnus had 4.
Dang.
So they stopped. And before that, the day before, Trent played MVL.
Mm-hmm.
Trent won every game. At Rook odds 5 minute, he won like 100 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like Magnus's aura, you know. That's like his special ability, like in a video game.
So here's a question she asked, very insulting to you, but not really.
Rude.
I gave her an answer. We'll see what your answer is. If, like, right now you played a slow match with Jen Shahadi, who's the favorite? Well, right now.
Probably Jen.
Yeah, I said it was about the same.
Oh, she's higher rated.
Yeah, she don't play anymore. Vegan butter is the
I don't play
secret.
too much.
Correct. Now, if you have any Pokemon questions or Futurama or who are the 2 guys? What am I talking about? The cartoon. Better to watch when you're high.
I don't know, every cartoon.
No, but the one in particular. There's the dog and the kid.
Family Guy.
No, the dog. No, just that's it. The dog and the kid. That's it.
Hmm.
The Iceman and
Adventure Time.
Adventure Time. If you have any of those questions, Spencer can answer them.
The guy put Adventure Club.
Adventure
I
Club
think
is
he was
close. Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't watched that in a long time though, because the main creator stopped creating it.
What Blunderman455 also subscribed. Adventure Time is great with lots of.
He's right.
And his name is Punk Rock Pikachu.
Right. I
Is that
noticed
you?
that. No, I noticed that guy earlier.
Adventure
Punk
Time
Rock
is
Pikachu.
great. All right, so I'll name 2 cartoons and you rank them 1 and 2.
Okay.
All right, Adventure Time, American Dad.
I'm gonna go with American Dad over Adventure
All right,
Time.
Futurama, Rick and Morty.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to go with Futurama.
You have to? You don't have
Just
to.
for now. Well, I need to see more
That's-
from Rick and Morty.
That's right.
But the body of work Futurama's put
all right,
forward is
Family Guy or The Simpsons?
Simpsons, definitely. Well, Simon. Family Guy's trash. I still watch all of it. Every
Exactly.
episode.
Yeah.
But it's like you're eating McDonald's, you know? I'm just going to keep eating it, even though it's disgusting. That's all.
Which season of The Simpsons? The early ones, of course. Yeah. Also, etc. And so on. Which show's better? The one that's with Eric Andre or the other one that sounds like it's with Eric Andre? What's the other show
Tim
called?
and Eric.
Yeah, Tim and
Yeah.
Eric or Eric Andre.
I like Tim and Eric more.
Tim and Eric.
Yeah, but it's a close one. They're both very good, and sort of similar too in that they're sketch comedy,
Yeah.
but then like surrealistic.
What do you like better, Tim and Eric or that other show that I made you watch? Unless you made me watch it. With the guy who's in the... He's in the Rick and Morty episode with the scientist and the mini-verse. He's the third scientist.
Nathan for You.
Yeah, Nathan for You.
Right, I made you watch that.
Okay, good.
And Tim and Eric I like more, but I like Nathan for You
Nathan for You's pretty
a
good.
lot.
Yeah.
The best part about Nathan for You is the creativity. I think he applies his crazy ideas to real world scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
And how does he find people to go along with it? I guess they're just like, yeah, there's a camera here or something.
The gas station rebate is the best Nathan for You episode. I like the
That is a good
TV. I like the TV one where there's an alligator.
That's a good one. That's
They
my favorite
try
one.
to sue
Spears
Best
TV.
Buy or something.
Yeah, Spears TV.
Gumball's good. My favorite Gumball episode is when I've only seen like 10 of them. Is when they destroy the DVD, and then they're trying to fix it, and then the mom comes home.
Sounds good.
And she goes to return it, and they're like, no. That's not my favorite episode. My favorite one is when she's gone the whole episode, and these other people take over the house,
Right.
and then she comes back, and like the house is taken over by other people,
Take charge of the
and then she
situation.
turns into like the devil, and they all run away crying and clean the house. Yeah, I like that one. That was a good one.
Who will play Ben in the movie adaptation? Oh, right. Yeah, I heard about this. All the wrong moves.
Yeah, we never watched Squidbillies, but heard it was okay. Yeah. All right, so we'll do hand and brain.
All right. Which one am I? Hand?
Yeah, 1 minute.
No. No.
Nobody's challenging me.
You're too afraid of hand and brain.
1 minute hand and brain's funny.
Why don't you just play 1 minute on your own?
All right.
One
But
minute's
then
fun
I'll
to
lose.
watch.
But I'll lose. I'm bad.
All right, if it's pinky in the brain, then you can only play with your pinky.
This guy's rated
Yeah.
0. He didn't primo, so
Dang
now he
it.
has a chance.
No, he's so low rated.
It's true, he is. It's not even hanging.
Right.
I wish it was hanging.
But you're intimidating him.
It's true. I don't even have more time than him yet.
Whoa.
Man, my rook's
That's not a good
hanging.
move.
Yeah, but see? Worked
Okay.
out good.
Intimidation.
I'm the goodest.
Oh, Bishop G8's nice, though.
But I knew he was going to play that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because it's so nice. That's
Can
all
I
you
castle?
know.
Yeah. Now I'll mate him down the H line.
This looks pretty good. I think that you'll win now.
You do?
Probably.
I'm not even sure. Are you being sarcastic, dude?
You might get tripled up here, though. Then you'll definitely win. Ah,
Tripled
knew.
up on the bubble up.
you knew that you'd win then.
He doesn't see
Oh, you hung your nut.
He won't see that.
You suck.
How can he be 2,000 and see
This
that?
is good. You're crushing him.
Look at that. I got the.
Yeah, this is
playing-
your play on the H file is really good.
Yeah, I'm too good.
Oh, that was exclam. Was it?
Probably shouldn't play King E7.
No, that was wrong.
Might not matter. Still theory.
Right. This is still on the edge of my seat here.
Yeah.
My favorite Futurama, by the way, I decided, is with where it's like the opera, Robot Devil opera.
Always play King B1.
All right, stop Queen A1, yeah.
Right.
I was a little afraid of that. Oh, you're like better here. Course trying to take white.
This is just winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frankly, obviously,
Ridiculous.
ridiculously.
It's because you're great gambit early on.
I was threatening King takes Knight and then Rook
Right,
takes Bishop.
right. But not the other way around, because knight can take.
I win.
Great.
I got
play.
2 points? I missed a win. No. 2 mistakes, 4 blunders. He was a good sport. See, my 1 minute's pretty high, for me. Last episode, Devil's Hens or Idle Playthings.
Yeah, that's the opera one. A really good one.
Yeah, I watched that like 4
Great
days
one.
ago.
The
a great
best scene
episode.
is okay. Maybe it's not my favorite episode, but the best scene is when they're all singing in the opera, at the end.
Yeah.
That's the best scene. Like
You don't
ever.
like when Zoidberg says you're bad and you should feel bad?
Right. Well, okay, that's still part of the scene.
Zoidberg,
kinda,
yeah, that's right.
Like right at the end of it.
I like that. It didn't come from your hands. It came from your heart. You're bad and you should feel bad. Best episode is the time travel one. The time travel one? Is that all of them?
There was only one where they travel in time, I think.
Is that Roswell that ends well?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's every episode.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Roswell that ends well used to be my favorite one.
Yeah, the emotional flashcards are good. Yeah.
Yeah,
How should I feel right now?
I like the where car episode a lot too.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. All right, more. Let's see. What do I do? Am I challenging me? 12. Okay, hand and brain.
All right, I'll be the hand.
I'll be the brain pawn. No, it's rated. It's illegal what we're doing.
Oh, really?
No, it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. It's 12.
I have too much power now. Bishop. Just in case I'm playing with Karen. She wouldn't do that.
Well, I thought you would do that.
Oh, okay.
All right. I mean,
Yeah, that doesn't matter.
Didn't really think you'd play bishop f4.
Pawn.
Oh,
Like I said, E.
all right.
Yeah.
E-pawn.
Right. E.
Could have played e4.
Yeah, I didn't know what pawn was. Bishop. Pawn. Man, plays bishop g4, you'll feel silly.
All right.
Bishop.
I didn't really think you would.
Knight. Knight. Queen.
I don't know if this is like great positional chess.
Knight. Let's see. King. Rook. Go us.
Pretty solid, huh?
Mm-hmm. Queen. Knight.
Oh.
Knight. That's pretty good for 1289.
Yeah.
Pawn.
JK.
No JK.
He said D-pawn was free. Dang.
It was.
We probably missed it.
Yeah. I've made it with a woman. Kif, inform the men. Rook.
What about have the boy clean it up? The boy? Have you cleaned it up?
Yeah. Pawn. Rook. Queen.
Got him.
Mm-hmm. Pawn. Queen. Pawn. I like that we have more time.
Mm-hmm.
Pawn. Rook.
Strategically correct play here.
Rook. Pawn. queen. Let's see. Pawn. Who is Ben streaming with? Spencer. Go Spencer. What? Never play F6.
I didn't expect that one.
What if you had taken our pawn on A6? What would you have done?
C4.
I would have said pawn, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Pawn. God damn.
I can't pre-move the next move.
You can pre-move rook, yeah, exactly. Let's see how good we
Did I
play.
make any moves you didn't expect me to make?
Yeah, zero mistakes, zero
I tried to
blunders,
always
zero
play
mistakes.
solid
It
as
says we play
possible.
great.
Because he's
Let's
1200.
see.
So.
When I said pawn, I meant C4. But, right.
Most people play G3
And
though,
then, yeah.
in that
And
structure.
then,
Playing E5 ED is horrible for black.
and then
Can't do that.
I thought queen D3, but maybe your move's better. And then this is what I
When was the D
meant.
pawn free though?
We could have taken it because F5.
All right,
and
that's
a
what I
B pawn.
thought.
Yeah.
And B pawn was hanging, right?
Yeah. Okay. This. And then when I said pawn here, I meant C3.
Oh,
But
but I
okay,
thought you
you're-
might play F5.
When I said
F4,
rook,
yeah.
I meant rook E5.
I thought so too, but I thought maybe I can go down the third rank. You
And
know.
then when I said pawn here, I meant C4. And then takes D5.
Why would you play that?
Against king. C4, D5. No, your move's probably better.
Just grind on him.
And
What are you talking
then
about?
This was
I
all,
can't believe
this
you would
was,
do that.
This was correct.
I thought you'd say bishop
This
here.
was all. And when I
thought
said pawn, I
bishop
thought you
here.
were going to play B4.
Oh no! I thought you were gonna play bishop F1.
Always play bishop
Take the
F1.
bishop or bishop F1.
F6. God damn. This is like never play F6. Like this is the,
The poster.
Poster.
Yeah. For
God.
never play F6.
God damn. Oh, Queen A7's also mate.
Oh, I didn't see
I
that.
only saw Rook A8 mate, but I assumed there
Great
was
games.
more. Yeah.
Oh, was this punk rock Pikachu? Look at the.
I don't know. Spencer looks like
He,
Ben.
he said, "Damn, you guys have
I
are
guess.
tough." Oh yeah, he confirms it.
Yeah, we think alike. Yeah. 100 centidues from Suspicious Moves.
Good game, punk
We
rock
can't
Pikachu.
go on together with suspicious moves.
Is that how the song goes?
Yeah. Finally. Let's see, what's that? $5. Wild Rumpus 87. Play me. Username Wild Rumpus. Yeah. But he didn't challenge us. There's no Wild Rumpus
He wants you to
challenging.
challenge them.
What Magic Cubed? Where's Wild Rumpus challenging us?
Right.
What he didn't challenge. Where?
Well, instead of F6, you could have played B takes A6.
Yeah.
But I think either C4 or bishop F1 would have been good.
Exclam challenge Wild Rumpus 3-0. Unrated. Ah, that didn't work.
No, you put it in the chat here. That's why.
Where should I put it?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I don't know.
What?
I don't know anything about this server.
Is it
Come on.
here?
Maybe you can go to play. You were
What?
just there.
I don't think I know how to challenge
learn
people.
how to challenge us, buddy.
I've challenged people before, but I
Alright,
forgot.
How about
what
play
I
a
did.
friend? Or is he a friend?
Mm.
How about play an enemy?
Custom challenge.
Oh yeah, there you go. Verse instead of random, you can just type in that name. There he is.
All
Yeah, we
right.
got you.
And then
3
not
minute.
rated.
Is this hand and brain also?
Yeah,
Okay.
we did it. He's not currently in live chess. Dude, you're not in live chess, so I
Yeah,
can't
what?
challenge you.
Do I challenge someone in chess?
No. No. We tried to challenge him and we failed miserably. The lesson is never try.
Hey, it says that things are unrated now sometimes.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy's too high rated. We can't play him.
Alright.
What's country's that? That's a
Iran.
country? Too good. How about this guy?
Alright.
Alright.
He's too high rated for hand
Ooh,
and brain.
Twitchy. We gotta play Twitchy.
Alright.
All right.
He's still hand and brain?
Yeah, we'll do other way.
Alright. Pawn. Knight. Go Ben and Spencer. Knight.
Magnus Carlsen played knight f7.
When?
In the Rapid and Blitz, and he lost to,
Damn.
I think, Ding or you. I think it was you.
I refuted this in my channel. Pawn? My YouTube channel. So Twitchy, don't go watch that and know about it.
Exactly. I faced it once in a slow game against Mac Molnar, and we
Paul.
drew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Mac, they call him.
Mm-hmm.
Have never faced this, he said.
He's rooting for us. Go
Right.
Twitchy.
I'm rooting for us.
What's Karen doing? Also, who's Karen?
She's going. Ooh,
Laying on the couch.
for nap time. She's
What?
getting
You
ready
can't-
for Waffle
You
House.
can't wait
that
to
way.
lay down?
I can't wait to eat Waffle House. Pawn.
It's pandemonium over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only Super GM game in a slow game was Topolov Kramnik draw.
Bishop.
Why did this guy say boo? What Farnsley? You can't say boo unless you donate.
Probably because you sacrificed a piece.
Yeah, okay, then you can say it. Also, he was saying boo earns.
King.
Compensation. Yay, 1 cent.
Bishop. Yeah, what's that to do for the boo?
Yay, thank
Earned
you.
that. Earned that one.
If I could say your name, I would.
Absorbing that boo.
Mhm. What if the Chess Bros have more viewers than us? We're Chess Father and Son. We're a song by Cat Stevens.
He said it's too scary.
Mm-hmm.
He's right. King.
Did you mean here?
Yeah. Dang it. I like that one. Like
What's our rating in Hand and Brain? Probably better than our individual rating. 2,800.
Pawn.
The bras are on even when you misspell it. You know, this is pandemonium here. We're pretty fast for Hand and Brain.
I love how safe my king is. Pawn.
What about his king?
Not as safe. Knight.
Manzier or Bro? Come on, $500. Come on, $500. $10.
Pretty good.
Good doing, Farnsley. This says your hair green? Yes.
It is.
Yes, it is.
Pawn.
Let's see, this pawn's attacked. So is it E6, F6, or C4? I'm gonna say F6. Never play F6. Get him, Ma. Recommended by Morphe. 19.
Pawn.
Man, now I'm really glad. I don't know which one you want to play, but I'm glad I played that.
Knight.
With suspicious minds. It's knight to see. Everybody thinks it's our king knight. Nobody realizes. Haha.
Equal material, huh?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
He should just play Rook F8, then it's... Oh, I'll fork him, right?
Bam.
Dang, forgot about that fork.
Can't even cheat right.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
I love watching your videos. I didn't know you stream on Twitch. Well, I've only been doing it for about a year and a half.
Knight? Queen? Queen?
Softened him up on the bubble up. He's only been enjoying chess for a month. No.
Bishop.
Man, this is like Morphy amateur and Kasparov is the amateur.
Yeah. How is it at all like that?
That's a Kasparov quote.
Oh, yeah.
When he lost to Wesley in that Blitz game. Like
Oh,
4
yeah,
years
yeah, I
ago.
remember that. I remember that. Rook. That's what Morphy would do
Yeah.
against Kasparov, the amateur.
Mhm. Dude, we challenged you. Wild Rumpus 87, you have to be in live chess.
You tell him, Raj.
And we challenged you, and you said you declined and you hate us. Come on. And also donate more.
Bishop.
Always play Bishop F8. I don't see a good way of recapturing. I mean, I really don't see a good way of recapturing.
Queen. Did I say Larry Peace there?
Yeah. Two
Good
mistakes,
game.
one blunder.
What blunder
You
did
were-
we make?
Well,
Knight takes F7?
Probably not F7.
No, that should be a mistake at worst.
Game report.
Yeah, let's see. I need a game report if they're saying.
No, we played great.
Probably like some moves we made, like some bishop moves was wrong. You know, bishop c4 was wrong or something.
Let's see. We played 93% accurate. He played 18.
18's not very accurate.
No.
I
So
mean, I
it
didn't
doesn't.
think
It
he
doesn't
played
like.
that.
It doesn't like castles. Is that why it's a different color?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we're plus. What does it want us to do?
I
Does it
thought
say?
you'd castle. I mean, didn't you think I'd castle?
Yeah, castles seems good. Doesn't like knight G5. Man,
Right, I thought you'd play knight
Knight
g5.
G5 looks pretty
You
good.
didn't play any move that I thought you wouldn't play.
Knight G5. It doesn't like bishop F8. What?
Rook f6.
Well,
I don't
it
know.
doesn't
I'll
like.
have to play rook f1.
It doesn't like bishop F8. Oh, queen D. Bishop F8 is a blunder.
Rook takes f6 and rook f1 is the win, I guess. But
Well, how isn't this better?
Right. Queen takes is not better.
Oh, rook takes F6 was mate in 5?
Oh,
Why is it mate in 5?
king g. You're right. Why not
Queen
just queen takes?
Oh, bishop C4, queen C4. Wow.
Yeah, I can. Okay.
Oh,
I'm not
man.
gonna. Nobody's gonna do that. Though.
After bishop F8, I thought he'd resign.
Right.
Yeah, now we're only plus 62.
Yeah, that's why I said bishop.
Yeah.
I was like, this looks like
King
it's
takes
about over.
F8 is best, plus 62
Right.
for us.
I wouldn't say rook f8's a blunder. That's not
Yeah.
how I classify it. Oh, they can't even see like the notes.
But 90
Oh, you can't see it's double.
93 is good, right?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I
Pretty
don't know.
solid.
Because it's
Especially-
like hand and brain.
And plus, it takes off like 5%.
Look at all these
for
personalized
knight takes
training
F7.
puzzles we have.
Wow,
I've never even done this. That looks pretty cool.
that was pretty cool.
He was a good sport. All right, I've streamed long enough. 1 cent. What's the software analyzing the blunders?
Right.
Well,
was
we're
it Stockfish though? It's asking what the computer was.
I don't know. We're just on
It's probably
chess.com.
Stockfish
Yeah, it's
or
got to be
something.
some stockfish.
It's for you.
All right, did this guy? Let's challenge him again. We'll give him one more chance because he did donate.
Oh, the rump guy. Or
Yeah,
whatever?
he's doing the Humpty Hump.
All right.
What did I do?
I don't know.
I went down
I
here.
forgot. Yeah, I already forgot. Custom.
What's his name?
W was the first name letter. That's all I remember. Wild. Maybe. There he is. There he is. Wild rump.
And then,
And it's gonna be handed brain again.
yeah, if he plays.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, okay.
Oh wait.
Yeah, do you
So is
want to
this
do
one the
this or
okay.
me?
I'll do this one.
Okay, pawn. Bishop.
Every game with Trumpowski, huh?
Mm-hmm. Doug Stanhope's okay. Tosh is all right. Pawn. Pawn.
Don't really know. Bishop e7.
Me neither.
Probably h6 is the move, right?
Bishop.
Weird.
Queen. Yeah, Norm MacDonald's good.
How's it going, Grandmaster Stewart? GM Stewart.
I did play casual games, very casual. I lost, I drew. Mainly I won, but I lost and drew too. Pawn. We're caught in a trap. Can't walk out. Pocket presented us with a subscription. Night.
Thanks, Pocket.
We can build our dreams. Night. Unsuspicious night. Caught in a trap. Can't walk out. King.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Okay.
I'm
If
the
you
best.
insist.
I'm the best. Still theory.
Is this Cutsy piece against Cutsy piece?
Unfortunately.
Cutsy piece open. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I agree. Somewhat annoying. Night.
Did you say night?
Mm.
Okay. Looks good.
I was just going to take the night. Your move's interesting.
Take the knight looks horrible.
What does he do?
He takes this check,
Then king e2. Okay.
and then king. But anyways, then he takes the knight.
Then we take the bishop.
Ah,
We lost the exchange instead of a rook. But okay, this is a win too.
I thought, check.
Yeah, right. We might check him.
I didn't see
maybe.
that the bishop was hanging. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah, that's all right. Also, when you played knight f3, I meant knight c3 when I said knight. So he can't do all this.
I didn't see queen b6,
Yeah, that's okay.
obviously.
That's okay. We're just going to say we played great.
Yeah, perfect, pretty much.
Yeah. 2,900 minimum. Minimum.
Yeah, I should have played knight c3. I didn't see queen b6.
Yeah, that's all right. Still doing great. Take your time, sir.
Yeah, definitely. It's too complicated.
Mm-hmm. Knight.
Check.
Don't tell him.
Yeah, he'll just keep trying to make illegal moves. Like, what's going on?
Exactly. Queen. Knight. Queen. Knight. Bishop. Knight. You saw this too?
Yeah.
I saw it
I was
before you played King
calculating it before
C6.
you
Yeah, I
moved it, yeah.
calculated it also. That's nice. 0 mistakes. It's 2 blunders.
2 blunders
Yeah.
with 0 mistakes.
Yeah, that's nice. And then Queen takes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not mate. His King A6.
Oh, yeah.
I
I saw
assumed,
the
but
fork,
Knight
yeah.
C7 is not mate either. But Queen A5's mate.
Oh, yeah, queen a4.
So he has to
What?
play.
No.
If King B6 here, Queen takes
Ah.
here, Knight check takes Queen A5 mate.
Oh.
So he has to play here, and I assume we're winning. I don't know how. I assume we are.
I mean, we
Is Knight here to win? Yeah, Knight
Yes,
there check
discover
wins, and
check,
then-
yeah.
and then it's mate.
I mean, a
Like,
knight c5's check. We could
Yeah.
just check the queen.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a lot of options.
That was a perfect game. Yeah.
Pretty much. We fought back.
Yeah.
Good game. Thank you, Wild Rumpus. You should have played a little faster, though.
No, that
you
was
played
good.
well, but you should have played faster.
That was probably the greatest chess game ever played. Probably.
It wasn't so bad, really.
I want to do the report to see how bad like, we
Just
both
2
played.
blunders by us? Oh, what?
You had a game.
We got an achievement.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, they won't be able to see the H file, but that's all right.
We played 92% this game?
Probably like our mistakes were the second best moves,
Knight F3 is good. Knight C3 is best. We're still better here?
Right. Duh. C4. I told you. No, I don't. What? C4? If you said pawn, I wouldn't have played C4. I would have played like B3 or something.
King D1's bad. King E2's right. I would have played King D1 also.
No, I noticed King D1 is wrong here because you can't play... Well, either way you can't play Rook B1, right? So why is King E2 better? The problem is we can't play Rook B1.
The bishop's hanging.
Right, the bishop's... I never understood
Knight B5
that.
is a blunder. Knight takes D5 is best.
We're only minus 8.8 here, so it's okay.
Bishop B6 is a blunder. Yeah, if I play Bishop
Right.
C5 and we have
I think
nothing.
he thought we were forking him. He didn't notice his guy was...
Wow, Queen H4 is best. I said Queen, you thought I was insane.
No, I just was expecting that.
Now we win.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is all forced win.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't understand anything, but then when it was forced win, I did it.
I like the way King B6 is a
Right,
blunder.
yeah,
He
give
should
up
give
the
his queen
queen.
away. Yeah. Yeah, best. Yeah, we're really good. Yeah. 92.2. We were like played 2 blunders. This says we made 1 blunder. Yeah. 1 brilliant move. What was our brilliant move? Was it Bishop A5? I don't know. We made a
Queen
brilliant.
G4 is bad.
We made a brilliant move.
Yeah, why did you even say queen? I was like, you want
Queen G4 is pretty good.
Stupid. C4 is too obvious. Right? Yeah, C4 is best.
We're still better after Queen G4.
Yeah.
And after Rook G8.
But how did we play the opening so great?
Yeah,
E5, Bishop D2? That's like genius play.
I thought Bishop D2 when I said it.
Yeah, that's genius.
Bishop takes
play.
E7 is better.
Dang
Bishop
it,
D2.
dang it. No, it doesn't understand. Come on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Just doesn't understand.
So anyway, we're the best.
Pretty much.
Thank you. Yeah. Hooray. A godly move. Yeah, we played good, especially here. Because the kings are all running around. You'll see this is the Sinquefield Cup.
No,
ridiculous.
right.
Frankly, ridiculous.
You don't see him making 2 or 3 blunders in 20 moves.
Yeah. So how many players of the Sinquefield Cup have won 0 games? It's
All of them?
7.
Oh.
Yeah.
7?
Yeah, 7 players have won 0 games
How
out
many
of
are
12.
playing? 6?
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Tough tournament.
Yeah. I mean, it's harsh. Yeah.
He said computer never said he made a brilliant move.
Yeah,
That's a sad life.
that's true. So should I rate Botez, Chessbra, or Gold Dust Tory?
You should rate Botez.
Yeah, I
Some of
agree
the
because
people
we're
will
gonna
see-
play our match. That's right.
Yeah, though, you'll get
Yeah.
intel from the viewers.
That's right. Alexandra, but her name is really long. I don't like reading
So
her.
make sure you guys tell us
How did-
about her.
how did
openings
I
and
do?
Stuff. I don't know. What's her name? It's hard for me to read that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks right.
That's probably right. All right, and obviously before we go, Spencer has something he wants to tell you.